right, everyone. Welcome back to the Last Week This Week podcast. I'm Ian Scott.
I'm Zack Huber.
And this is a podcast where we talk about some nerd culture topics from the past week and the upcoming week. But this is a very special episode. We got one of our best friends and roller coaster and comic book enthusiast in the house, West.
Yes. Yes.
Wait, are we gonna call you by West?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's generally what I give everyone. Like, it's kind of my nickname. It's kind of just the name.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know. I've always just liked to took it from my gamer tag back in the day, and yeah, it just stuck with me. So,
you want to say you also have your own podcast. Do you want to plug that real quick?
Well, I thought I could just do that at the end, but
okay.
Really, I'm on the high rollers, and you're probably wondering what that is exactly. Well, we have a good time talking about coasters, aka rollers, and we get high.
And that's all you need to know.
So if you like that niche stuff, I'll tell you where to find us at the end.
And
sounds good.
we have a very exciting day. Something that I guess I just didn't want to sleep last night because I was very excited to have this conversation, and that's about DC, because we finally got to have James Gunn's Slate announced. He waited all the way to the very
January
last
31st.
day.
Very James Gunn, if you ask me.
And yeah, so we're gonna go over
saying that you couldn't sleep. It is kind of like Christmas for nerds.
January 31st was literally our Christmas.
Like,
that was so.
This announcement was.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that this news isn't going to be as embraced by every DC fan.
Sure.
Because it wasn't going to be embraced from the get-go before it was even announced.
I mean, even West over here wasn't going to embrace it. And I don't know what your opinion is now, but
I troll a lot. As in, like, I give a lot of just, I'm not caring. They're taking too long. What is this?
Right.
But at the end of the day, I am a fan. I will care. I'm passionate. I'm here now.
Right.
I was there the minute it dropped. Luckily I had time because yesterday was rough.
Yeah, luckily
I
work was slow yesterday.
Yeah,
and,
I saw 2 minutes James Gunn had dropped. I'm like, okay. Clicking right on it.
Nice.
And yeah, the video was really standard definition. That's how early it was. But
yeah. So we're gonna talk about everything that was announced.
Yeah.
I think it makes the most sense that we'll probably start with the 4 DC movies that are gonna come out in this year, 2023,
right?
Because they kind of give context to everything else that we're going to talk about. First, we'll say they both said that both of them are really excited about these 4 movies, which, I mean, that makes sense because they're the heads of, I mean, they're not going to be not excited.
Yeah, like they have to say that, I feel,
Yeah.
They said specifically they were lucky to have these 4, I guess.
Yeah, he did say they were lucky because all 4 have been able to, I guess he's implying, could fit into their new universe if they want.
Right. Like with Shazam, like he said, it's always been kind of separate from the DCU.
In its own universe, really.
So it can kind of just jump in if it wants to anywhere down the line. So I guess all the Zachary Levi shit where he's like, I don't think anything's changing with me. I guess
he was right on the money, I guess. I mean, not that he confirmed that like he'd be sticking around, but it's very possible.
It was like a false positive. He confirmed nor denied. He was just like, hey guys.
It's like, I don't know where you're hearing this, but I'm still here. Yeah.
It was pretty fair what he did say, like on the Instagram story that he put out where he was like, basically we don't know anything. And a good way to describe this slate right now is we still kind of don't know anything.
Yeah.
They say by Superman, we should have a really concrete idea
of like the casting and whatnot, or
man, I don't know. I think they were dealt these 4 movies, right?
Yes,
they can necessarily, they could, but you're just throwing away money. We're gonna see how they exactly line this up because they touched a little bit with some of the end credit stuff, which we'll probably talk about once we get to Flash. But Shazam, that's coming out real soon.
Is that March or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's March.
I mean, not that I've ever been super like into Shazam, but If he somehow does have a place in this new universe, I'm curious to see if that would be like in phase 2, if they just completely like skip out on that part of him in phase 1. But
I mean, I like the Shazam character.
I do too. I think the movie could have been better, but I still like it.
I mean, it was decent.
Yeah, decent.
You know, I've heard that people who weren't a fan of the first movie are actually really big fans of this new one.
Really?
So
I mean, he's definitely saying
I don't
like
think the trailers have been great.
I've heard,
but the newest one was, which we weren't going to get into because I pretty much feel like Ian's going to be like, I wish I didn't see that trailer because I feel like it gave too much away.
I mean, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
but, it was fine. It was a fine trailer.
Yeah, it was. That's how I felt about it too.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe they'll have him. It's not going to break my heart if they just decide to recast or do something else down the line, because, I mean, I don't think there's like too much to say about Shazam. So I guess we can just go straight into the big fulcrum point.
Well, I think I have an idea, or potentially, or I could see. I don't know if this would actually go, but what if he's just like the more family PG-13 side of DC Studios, DCU?
Well, I think we're still going to have PG-13 sides.
Oh, we will. Like, Superman is PG-13.
Right.
I think
it's just, I don't know how they'll fit Shazam into everything.
But I mean, Shazam didn't fit in this universe.
Yeah, it didn't fit in the old universe really that much. And I don't even know if they'll touch on Black Adam at any point. But
no, the Black Adam will be gone from DC Universe for at least the first 2 or 3 phases. I mean,
there's recast him.
They will. There's no way. Yeah.
God,
I really don't think Warner Brothers wants to work with The Rock again. I really think that.
I think they feel played.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I would feel played, honestly. Demanding
all that and still not having a successful movie is rough.
Yeah. But we'll move on to The Flash, which, you know, we got some quotes. Gunn says it's probably one of the greatest superhero movies ever made.
It's a huge statement. Yeah,
huge statement.
I think I can probably see what he's saying from the concept of like we're getting an actual Flash time travel story and live action.
Yeah, I mean, to me that's exciting that he said that, because this does like that. To me, it feels like it's going to be a true Flash story. Yeah, and that was the worry, is that. Well, yeah, there's car honking in the background, but yeah, if the Flash like was going to be this huge like reset for the DC universe, I was worried it was just going to get lost and, you know, in the shuffle and not be this Flash movie. It would be almost like a Civil War for Captain America, right? Though I mean that still works. It is. It's just it's like people call it Avengers 2.5, and I get it.
I think
I get that too. Yeah.
I think at least with the first quote about it being like one of the greatest superhero movies, I think that I had already been hearing that it
was like testing really well,
really good, and I know that you were like, how?
Right?
There's so much studio interference. I mean, I think that this is good to hear.
I mean, it was good to hear that James Gunn and Peter Safran didn't have any studio interference in it. I mean, even though I would have trusted their input,
I think it's really nice that there's this movie that I guess I really like underthought what the reset would be, right? Like I thought it was like, oh, they're gonna reset. That just kind of flipped. Like I didn't think about it as much. This seems like it's like actually a really big deal.
Reminds me of a comic situation when they turn to a new age.
Absolutely.
You know, like
and I think it's really cool because, you know, in Marvel, they just keep going. Like that's their whole thing with the comics. With DC, it's always been reboots. But I think it's really nice that because Gunn confirmed that the Flash is going to literally reset the universe. So they actually have this really nice way to, hopefully, if it's done well, transition from the old DC to this new DC in and we're gonna get into like how this all works potentially. But if it's done well, this is really nice way to transfer in a nice cohesive way potentially.
But let's say this is a total reset, because it will be. That still means that at the end of this movie, Ezra Miller's Flash is the Flash in this universe.
Now, Peter did talk a little bit more on that.
Sure. Yeah. I
mean,
they're open to having discussions when the time is right. Apparently, because Ezra is apparently making progress with getting better.
Yeah.
Here's my thoughts are similar to the Ben Affleck situation, where when Justice League was coming out, they were never going to say that he's not going to be Batman anymore, because from a PR thing, it's like, so your actor who's playing Batman isn't going to be Batman anymore. Like, why would people want to go see the movie or whatever? I don't think Ezra's coming back.
Right.
I think they're not really going to say anything other than we're going to have a conversation later. But if they do have them come back, I will maybe have a different stance on how I feel about things.
I'll also say that, like, basically James Gunn had said that, starting with like the new Superman movie that he's writing, everything like from then on out will have like the characters being reused in that universe. So like, with Ezra Miller's Flash and these other 3 movies, they could just be completely not talked about ever again. And so, it just leaves them open for a lot of options, I guess. But
bouncing off Ezra real quick, I just hope if they do decide, or if there is any decision, the decision is to focus on the recovery.
Yeah.
So that even it's decided, then they can better themselves. And
I'm just
trying to
curious,
focus on a big role like that. While I don't know.
Like, I get, I mean, the studio wants them to work on themselves, but I don't know if they do decide to stick with Ezra, like, I don't know if they're really thinking about how audiences don't really forgive these days.
Yeah.
And that I don't think, like, Ezra's not going to be,
it'd be a little different if it were a Letitia Wright situation.
Sure.
That's
just like difference of views.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a different.
This is
they're a criminal. Yeah. And I mean, they are like straight up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is no beating around the bush.
Right,
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, these are criminal offenses. And I think, promoting a movie that all these things happened after the movie is different than continuing to work with somebody who also caused the whole studio to have like a bunch of problems and PR problems to deal with to begin with.
Yeah.
I just don't see them wanting to work with Ezra in the future.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This just seems like a head fuck. But I did want to say, do you think that anybody, because there are properties coming up from the slate that was announced that are transferring over,
like from this movie, or just from these 4 movies,
from the old DC?
Oh well, I mean, we know.
No,
people,
I'm saying, but do you think anybody's going to remember like the reset? Do you think there's going to be characters that remember that there's a reset? Do you think Flash will be the one that remembers there's a reset? Does Flash have a place in
traditionally he is the one who remembers, right? And like Flashpoint Paradox.
Sure. Right. So but do you think that he'll be the only character that remembers that this happened?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. If everyone else, like, it's a Spider-Man No Way Home even situation, I wouldn't be surprised, where like Peter Parker's the only one who has, really remembrance of like what happened. So that's very real possibility.
I don't really have anything for Blue Beetle unless somebody wants to bring something up about Blue Beetle. Because, I mean, all that was said was like, this is a marvelous character. And it's like,
well, he did say that like, that it was like a very important character to like the DC universe.
Yeah.
So
sure.
He's basically just underneath the Justice League.
Right.
When it comes to like all that type of events, and he'll even team with them a lot of the times.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, him and Booster Gold.
He was very vague.
Well, different Blue Beetle though.
Yeah.
That'll be some like when we get to Booster Gold, I guess we could talk about it. But
Yeah,
like
it is a different Blue Beetle.
it's a
It's
different.
not Ted Cord.
They might, maybe they could do something, but I mean it'll be different
for sure. Yeah,
because it's not Ted Cord and that is you can't do it with another Beetle.
Right.
Like it has to be it.
Yeah. So moving on, they also talked on Aquaman 2 that Aquaman 2 leads directly into the new DC slate.
the new 10 projects. Yeah. So
Which
I guess my thought that that's so interesting is that will Aquaman 2 like will he remember anything from the first movie? Is this going to be more a part of, because it's after the reset, is it more a part of this new universe than not?
it's just like because you guys thought he was not going to be Aquaman.
Well, yeah, I guess we should go into that quote too, is that James Gunn literally was like, he's not going to play two characters. He's not gonna,
he said that?
He said he's not going to be both Lobo and Aquaman.
Yeah.
And, but they said after Aquaman 2, they'll try and figure out which one he would be playing. So they don't even know yet.
I think they know. But because of what was that video?
Oh yeah, where he's popping off.
Sure. But like
after that, I thought honestly he was just happy to be to be hired. He's I still have a job. I still got a bag, but no,
that's fair.
He's like one of the most hireable people in.
No, but like
Hollywood.
he really appreciates. He wanted to stay in the DC universe.
Sure.
Well, yeah, and James was even saying that he's always looked at Aquaman as a trilogy. So like I know he wants to finish those movies out, but I mean I know his passion for Lobo might be even more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Lobo could be a little bit older. Because if he waits to finish the Aquaman stuff, it just we wouldn't get.
But with this new DC, I don't think that they are going to. They're gonna want to have their Aquaman. I think they're gonna want to have their Aquaman in the Justice League.
So
and I think they're gonna, if they don't keep Jason, then they're probably just get a new one. Or they're going to keep, or he just won't be Lobo.
So, I mean, here's also
if
the
he's
thing
not playing.
Is like, I don't know if you guys remember, but Ben Affleck was added to Aquaman 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That Batman is in this universe even after the reset. So how does that work?
Well, I will say we're assuming that in the timeline that Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2
are after the reset.
After the reset.
Right. They could be before.
So I don't know, but let's say like it's after. I think
no, it has to be Aquaman. At least has to be after because he said it leads directly into the slate.
I think that it probably that Aquaman, just like some other projects, they're one of the timelines that really nothing changed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their memories of people change, or but that's the thing.
Right.
Like we have no idea what exactly it changes. So it's a little bit of a head. Like, is he going to remember a Henry Cavill Superman? Is this new Superman that we're going to talk about? Is he going to be the same? Is he going to be a brand new Superman? Like, I don't know.
It really makes you wonder.
So,
like, as nerds, we're going to take the time to digest and dissect to understand. Is the general audience going to understand? Hopefully.
I mean, most of the time, like, I feel like with Thor Love and Thunder, like people didn't give a shit. They were just like, it was a fun movie.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, we both have different opinions.
But like the comic book, like goers who like go to these movies and are fans, like I don't think anyone was really happy with Thor Love and Thunder. But
I mean, it still has like a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
even the
wild.
audience score is 64. So I mean, that's still positive.
My cousins that like every single Marvel movie, that was the one they disliked.
Wow,
that was the only one that they disliked in the recent. They don't like the shows actually that much. The recent Phase 4 shows.
I guess Thor Love and Thunder was like literally the goofiest the MCU had ever been.
Besides She-Hulk.
Right. And they don't like the shows. So that makes sense. Yeah.
I guess we could also say that I think it was James Gunn that said the 4 leads of these movies could potentially keep playing their roles down the line, that there's
Right.
nothing that prohibits that happening. I guess this, like I said, like this reset is just resetting certain things,
Yeah.
you know?
I think
And they're maybe lucky enough that they're able to keep certain things if they work.
they're gonna get a few that aren't like confirmed, like Flash and Aquaman, like the ones that didn't show up to the Peacemaker end cutscene.
Yeah, I really do think
The ones that just like, oh, sorry, I gotta,
right,
I got
right.
other calls, you know.
Well, I mean, they were all there, but not really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. But I mean, like hearing the reports earlier this year, or I guess last year, that like in the Flash movie, even that like Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck's and Gal Gadot's like cameos were being cut from that movie,
Mhm.
and that sounds accurate now with everything that we've heard. Like, there's no reason for any of those three to be in anything else moving forward. So that's I guess why it would still surprise me if Ben Affleck was in this Aquaman movie, because
Sure. Okay.
yeah, that's a huge like just a remaining like character that shouldn't be in the existing universe anymore, you know?
Unless, because this Batman that's coming up does seem to be a older
Mhm.
dad, could he come back? I don't know.
It's possible.
It's possible. I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about the Henry stuff, but I think it makes more sense when we get to Superman.
Sure, we can do that.
So, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about these 4 movies before we move on?
If they somehow nail this, and I will be impressed. That's all I will say. I will be, I think, very intrigued to
That's the
see how
thing.
they treat their movies that they actually have a hold on and have been working on since day one.
Yeah, like that's the thing
'Cause-
though, is that if they choose to keep any of these canon, they're gonna have to do so much. Like, I feel like they're gonna have to go back and do work and be like, okay, this movie was canon and this movie was canon.
Yeah.
So,
But depending on this reset, they might not have to do that at all.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know, similar to X-Men: Days of Future
I was
Past.
just about to say, yeah.
But I guess if you wanted to like,
Like, oh crap, this is turning really
but if
not
you wanted
the way we want.
to watch the movies like leading up into the reset, you would have to have like some canonness there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're just gonna be like
Everything from that old universe is in that old universe. And,
maybe like you can watch it from just Superman Legacy and onward.
Right.
Anyways, so moving on, they also said that they officially have a DC Elseworlds label, which makes me so excited.
Yes.
Although they're using it for the properties that are just not connected to this universe right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
So
I have thoughts about this, but we can cover all of them and I'll say them at the end.
okay. So Saffron said the bar will be very high for something to be outside the DCU, but every now and then something will live up to that. They announced what is currently going to be on the Elseworlds label, which is the Batman Part 2, which is coming October 3rd, 2025.
Yes, sir.
A year earlier than that, it's Joker Folle Adieu, which is October 4th. So we
Wow.
get 2 Batman properties
That's pretty cool.
in a year.
That's nice. There's also
like
Teen Titans Go on that Elseworlds.
Which apparently is a huge moneymaker for Cartoon Network. So that I
makes
was
sense,
I was
yeah.
surprised that they brought that up, and they also have Black Superman, which is
No,
which
I
they
just
didn't
say
bring
that.
up, but
it's
Again,
still a project that
Yeah.
is kind of J.J. Abrams related,
and
and
Michael
it's,
B. Jordan
it's-
related.
Yeah, and it's being written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm sorry if I
just-
messed up the name, but it's still in active development. So
maybe it's just me, but I don't want J.J. Abrams around the DC universe.
no, I don't want him either. But unfortunately,
That's
Yeah.
exactly why I was like, I laughed. I was like, yes, we're gonna Black Superman. Please, JJ. Please.
Yeah.
Please, my boy, do not touch this.
Yeah. So I think there's a few thoughts that I have about this. One, I think it's a great idea, and that Marvel should really look into potentially doing something like this, because now you have you open up, instead of like, there's a lot of actors who don't want to do superhero projects because they have to get tied down in contracts to multiple films. Right. Now you can have someone like Joaquin Phoenix, or everybody wants like Leonardo DiCaprio to do something. We don't want him to do the Captain Planet. I mean, I know some people have said that they want him to do the Captain Planet, but now you have like a bigger talent pool of actors that like wouldn't do that, but now they can, and they don't have to feel they won't be contractually obligated. And if they want to do another one, or if it does really well, the options on the table.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Like, on the opposite end of that spectrum is like the actors who would actually be in the DC universe that's starting, because like those actors have to be tied down to like every version of their role. Like, so through animation and like in TV shows and in film, like they have to reply, and in video games even. So I think that definitely is daunting for some actors, and maybe too much of a time commitment.
Yeah, and I think we can just get more interesting stories than than it all having. Not that there can't be interesting stories within the DCU, but something that's, you get a Joker or you get the Batman, which also they didn't mention it, but is the Penguin series still happening?
Yeah, they did actually mention it.
They did?
Yeah. Peter Safran said, I think that, that it's still happening. Yeah.
Okay.
They're saying they met with Reeves. They were really excited with what he brought them and basically pushed forward. But I guess I agree with everything you guys said completely. But I'm afraid it might cause a DC divide again.
A DC divide
in fandom.
But there's not going to be that many Elseworld stories, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they said it's literally going to be a high bar if they're going to do.
Right, not that like this, like they aren't already having a high bar, they said, but like,
I mean, they are at a high bar.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they already have one, and they have to go even past that.
Oscar-winning performance, $1 billion making Joker movie.
Right.
And and the Batman.
Yeah, like, and that's why, because we're going to get to Batman later, but we're going to have 2 Batman.
Yes,
sure, but they're very different Batman.
People are going to make their choices.
But they also said they're going to be careful about that. Like, they're not going to release 2 Batman movies in the same year. They'll plan their releases around so it's not congested.
Yeah, I mean, this Batman movie is coming out in 2025, and by the time they get around to The Brave and the Bold, I mean, that'll probably be...
I'm assuming that'll be 2027.
I think it might be 2026. Actually,
could be.
I think it'll be 2026.
I mean, my prediction is that, like, we'll get there, but like the new slate will be like mid 2025 to mid 2027.
I guess we'll get there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts on DC Elseworlds. I think it's great that we finally have like an actual label for these movies.
The smartest
concrete one, because DC Black Label, they kind of try to use it for the movies, but then they just threw it on for the comics for a bit. Now I think even the comics is just Elseworlds.
Well, I mean, and even the old universe, they didn't even have a label for it, I think. They were just saying like, this is the entire DC extended universe, and we don't have to be a connected universe. And I was like, okay, I guess you can do that.
So moving on to the big thing, DC Chapter 1, Part 1 of Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, which is a great title.
It is, absolutely.
Fantastic way to do like how we're going to break this down, like instead of phase 1, phase 2, blah, blah, blah. This is rad, in my opinion.
Yeah,
this
I totally agree. Because there are so many... I mean, it's just rightly titled. There's so many gods and monsters in this new project.
They said, while plans may shift, these are the initial slate of Chapter 1. There's going to be a premium put on screenplay writing, so it doesn't give us superhero fatigue, and we can get tonal and thematic differences. And I think one of the big things before we get into the different titles is that the actors that get cast are going to, if they show up in a TV show, they're going to show up in a movie. And if they're in an animated format, they're also going to show up in live action. So they have to be cast if they're doing, because for our first thing it'll be an animated, like these characters are going to be the live action versions of themselves.
Yeah, so they have to make sure that they sound and look like their actual characters.
Yeah,
which will be super cool to see the casting process of. But yeah, I mean, if we want to hop into the first thing announced, which was Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
That honestly, even though I've like barely heard of this group, I've heard of them.
Never heard of them.
I'm so excited for this project.
Same.
The still of the animation that was like released looked great.
Is that that's from the show?
That's from the show.
Okay,
they said it's in production right now.
Looks great.
I don't know if you guys saw, but he said he wrote all 7 episodes of this series, James Gunn.
Yeah.
And that Amanda Waller is bringing this group together again.
Really?
Yeah. And so,
interesting.
By the way, this is, well, I guess I'm assuming this is going to be Viola Davis voice acting this character, because we do know she's reprising her role in the next project that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this group is just super exciting. I don't know if you guys know the characters or not.
I know it's Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
The rest of these, besides, there's a couple that I don't know if they're what. I didn't do enough research, I guess, but I know that there's Frankenstein's monster, Weasel from the Suicide Squad, and Rick Flag Sr., who's Rick Flag's dad. Which, can we maybe get Joel Kinnaman to play an older version of himself?
Interesting. That could be neat. I'm not sure,
because I've seen him as an old version of himself in For All Mankind.
Yeah.
And he can be an old guy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the other characters are Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right.
You have G.I. Robot and
G.I. Robot.
You also have Dr. Phosphorus.
Okay, that name sounds familiar.
It's a Batman villain.
Okay, yeah.
And there's one more, which is I think the creator of the group in the comics. Yeah, Nina Mazursky.
Isn't she a vampire or something?
I know she like in the comics, like she was just a normal person and created like the first iteration of Creature Commandos, and then those all like went horribly wrong, and so they were put in like a mini prison, like a micro prison. So yeah, and then she created the second iteration and then made herself like a superpowered individual as well.
Okay. Yeah. I know that this original comic was that there are all these supernatural creatures that are in World War II to fight Nazis.
Yeah. So it's not going to be in World War II, I think.
Well, here's the thing. So,
but if it's Amanda Waller, it has to be this time period.
But I'm saying maybe they'll be... Because they're not going to probably be like, oh, Amanda Waller's been using the Lazarus pits.
Right.
Maybe they do flashbacks, because maybe these supernatural beings, like, maybe they first were made
in World War II.
Like they were doing their thing in World War II. And then it cuts to like a present day sort of situation where they're recruited. Maybe they'll never touch on the World War II, but I kind of want to see them kill Nazis.
I mean, that would be a cool like first episode if they wanted to like start us off in World War II and then bring us to the future.
The group breaks up because something happens,
or they're just like they're shut down because of a horrible incident or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that like even Sean Gunn is gonna reprise his role as Weasel. Like,
oh, was he Weasel?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're a friend of James, stay a friend.
That's his brother.
Yeah. you can not be friends with your family.
No, I know. I know.
That is his brother. But if you,
I have a theory that I don't know if this is, but you know how Weasel ends up like drowning trying to get to that country. Does maybe he like finds one of them there somehow, or do you think Amanda Waller just like, because they think he's dead, don't they?
They do think he's dead. Yeah.
So, but maybe he like meets up with one of the creature commandos at this.
Here's the thing,
this country
though,
in this
that
forest.
We only saw him wake up. Now they all had those like life sensors on them that showed when they were dead, when they were alive. Maybe it like reactivated, and that's how Amanda Waller found him again. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know why you would want to find Weasel, but yeah.
It would be a nice little like canonical thing if he like met up with found them or like or they were just they were in the same country and they're like they find him and like what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, I wanted more Weasel in Peacemaker, funny enough, but I'm fine not getting him.
Yeah, I mean, it maybe for like a bit, but
sure.
Like there's no way that would have made sense in that show.
No. I do wonder because with another one that's coming out or with another like entourage ragtag group of individuals, if this will stick the landing as well because they're almost competing with each other. Guardians is in there.
I think,
real quick, I think the top one right now because we even saw what was it the most watched superhero show this year was The Boys.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so good.
Well deserved. Like, will this stick with people, especially in animated? Because I know a lot of some people they're so against animated, which I don't understand it, but there are people that are that way. Luckily enough, they said that these will stand on their own to where you don't have the need to always be like, all right, I need to watch this one.
But he did say they are all interconnected. That there are characters connected. Showing up in other projects. Like they even said that one of the characters from Creature Commandos will show up in the next series Waller.
Yeah, but he's saying he's saying they stand alone in the sense like you don't have to watch everything.
Right.
Like
old
know
MCU.
That to where like you can enjoy this and still know what these characters are doing in this moment without being like, oh, why is this? Well, why does he have that?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, potentially it could not be as popular because it's animated, but I feel like that is what's going to get this project to like stand out from the others because to me, you can do more with animation action wise than you can live action and
bigger stories with a smaller budget, which is exactly what James Gunn said.
Yeah.
Is Authority going to be animated or is that
no? That's going to be a movie.
Creature Commandos is the only animated one in this whole slate.
Yeah, when we get to, I have thoughts about when we get to that one.
Sure.
All right. So moving on, there's another TV show that was announced. This is a spin-off of the Peacemaker show.
Yeah, set to take place between the first two seasons.
So it's Waller with Viola Davis, and it's being written by Crystal Henry of the Watchmen TV show, which is fucking amazing.
That's great.
And Jeremy Carver, the creator of the Doom Patrol TV series, which is one of my favorite shows. So and apparently she will team up with members of Team Peacemaker. And that what we also found out is that Peacemaker season 2 is on hold.
Yeah, but that it is still like Saffron even mentioned, like that's what I was saying that like this is taking place in between those first two seasons. So it sounds like it will eventually come out.
Right.
But yeah, I know that the original team that like was working on Peacemaker is just shifting over to this to make Waller. So yeah, I think if that's the case, like this show is going to be in great hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very curious to see this like horrible woman lead her own show. Like she's truly like been a terrible person in this like past
and now
universe.
she has like a reckoning. Because her daughter has spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen Peacemaker, but I mean I guess don't listen to this next part, but she exposes all that Amanda Waller's been up to.
Yeah, I mean, but is that before the reset? Who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean it's so yeah. Like
any of that really matter?
Did it happen? Yeah,
I guess that's this is one of those projects where this is a character from the old DC universe that is going to be making its way into the new DC slate. And the only thing I have to think of before I've seen The Flash is that there's just going to be certain characters that are affected and then there's others that are complete change in the timeline, and that this one seems like it's really not going to canonically like change that much, and we can just count everything before it as canon.
I would like Peacemaker to be canon because it was a fun time, and even Suicide Squad like
and I already like, and I think a lot of people are going to be mad at a lot of the stuff that's being kept.
Yeah.
Like especially with a certain British man not going to be staying.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to.
I
but
mean, like I wasn't even like before
Poor
all this
chap.
dropped, I was telling myself I was going to be like super unhappy if that was the case
Right.
and not everything was wiped. I
Right.
still don't know how I totally feel about it now, but you know, I do like a few of these properties and I don't mind them sticking around. So I don't know.
It makes me feel a little flat on it. Like,
Yeah.
because it doesn't feel as much of a reset.
Sure.
Like, I feel like the whole thing would have been more exciting just as a dream.
sure.
And so they just see a big new reset, new actors,
For sure.
new things happening, just because like it feels more like a big event. But
And I think we will get that for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, there will be a few that stick.
Yeah. I like I said, you know, I was under the impression it was going to be a straight reset. And when I said in an earlier podcast that even if it's not, that not to completely just trash all the plans and just maybe trust that he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
So that's my mindset on it. It does make me happy that Peacemaker's sticking around, but I would have been totally fine if they canned everything.
Right.
Because it would have been, I think, but it makes sense
would have
from a
been clean for the
financial point of
audience.
view. Like you had a hit TV show with Peacemaker.
Right.
Now that they have this fulcrum point with Flash, where it's a reset that's already been made before they even took the job.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a creative way to keep the things that work and throw out the things that are not going to really work for the future of DC.
Yeah. No, I agree. Totally.
But I don't really have any more thoughts about Waller.
No,
I guess I'm just excited to see it.
Yeah. Same.
But now we can talk about Henry because
Well, because we're talking about Superman.
because we're talking about Superman. So Superman Legacy is the next movie, the first movie that's coming out for the new DC slate, and this will officially kick off the DC slate. Apparently, it's being written by James Gunn. It's coming out in July of 2025. I think July 11th.
July 11th. He's still currently writing it.
He's still currently writing
it's like
it,
a loose release, I would probably assume.
I would assume. Yeah.
and it's a Superman being kind in a world where kindness is old-fashioned.
Yeah. I did know. Like, I saw that they're going to be having Superman deal with like both of his human heritage and his like Kryptonian heritage in there. And yeah, I think that's the most obvious way to go with the Superman.
Back to the basics.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I think the title could be a placeholder title, but I kind of like Superman Legacy. If he's truly dealing with his heritage stuff, that could be a good way to showcase
I
it.
didn't even think about that. That is good.
Yeah.
That is nice. I think the idea of him being this figure of wholesome kindness in a world where it's kind of like lame to be kind. I think it's
gonna be refreshing, honestly.
Sure,
Yeah.
and I think it's also really interesting that it's kind of a social commentary on how things are now with everything being so dark and nobody's like, it's kind of like corny to be like optimistic, I guess. So having this figure is, I think, and especially being written by James Gunn, I think we're going to get at least one big side of what the DCU can be. And then with the next project after that, it's going to be the complete opposite. I know that he was showing us pictures of All-Star Superman, which is the end of, in that comic, it's the end of his life, things that happen. I think they're probably just going to take inspiration from that.
You think they're already like planning out his arc? I would be surprised if they're planning like that far in advance.
Well, it's just like that.
Yeah.
They were taking pictures like from that run.
No, yeah,
so
I
I'm
know.
just like,
Yeah.
it sounds like it'll probably be inspiration. I don't know about, I'm sure they have some amount of an arc
planned out for him.
but
Yeah, he did say that was one of his favorite. He's gone through a few times.
Yeah, true.
So if that's something he is comfortable with, then I can probably see him throwing that in as a big inspiration for the arc or maybe the beginnings of the arc.
Yeah, for sure.
I have no idea what this movie would necessarily be about, other than him being this kind Superman. I feel like we're probably gonna get a Lex Luthor in there, but I don't know if he'll be like the main villain.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like,
it'd be cool if they do Lobo.
Speaking on this movie, that would be cool. But like, speaking on it, Gunn was like, he basically said he wanted to take like these stories away from like a good versus bad guy, and that like he wants to show like all sides of people, like like all the gray sides. And
but I thought that was him talking about like the Authority.
I mean, he did say that. Well, I think either Safran or Gunn said that like while talking about the Authority, but I know he was also talking about that through Superman as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what kind of villain we'd see from him, but it definitely wouldn't be stereotypically bad guy, I think.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. I'm really hyped on it. How do you feel about it? Because we're big Man of Steel people. I mean, I remember when it came out, and
we were all upset that Henry Cavill was gone too.
But
I guess this Superman doesn't fit in.
Nope.
Or Henry's like
that age of
he's
Superman.
Too buff,
and he's 40.
No, like young Superman, and the fact we're potentially setting up a World's Finest officially.
Yeah.
Like that's because the only other time we got them together, they were fighting each other. And then obviously the Snyder Cut, but it's the Justice League. It's not the World's Finest, Batman and Superman tagging and going along, dealing with crazy shit together.
So you think that's what it's gonna like eventually become?
Yes.
Okay.
I think there should definitely be a World's Finest at some point. Yeah.
Because, I mean, also going off this recent run, but generally that is one of the most known, like, Batman and Superman.
Yeah, for sure.
Teammates and best friends.
Yeah.
Like, they hate to show it, have a hard time showing it, but they know they love the hell out of each other.
Yeah, I don't think that...
I mean, we've never seen that except a little bit in the Justice League. But,
yeah.
I mean...
Yeah. And they, like Batman v Superman should have been like $1 billion, $2 billion movie. And it was just an abysmal thing to watch.
It made like 700 million or something, 800 million, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know, but it wasn't.
It wasn't what we wanted.
No, it wasn't. Moving on, I guess. This is probably like one of my favorite things that was announced.
Same.
Which is Lanterns, which is it's going to be Earth-based detective,
Earth precinct-based, yeah.
Earth precinct-based, true detective style, space cop show with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
That's crazy.
And it's animated, I think, right?
No, it's live action.
This is live action.
Yeah, live action. Yeah.
Apparently it's one of the most important stories for this new DCU universe, and it's I guess there's a few other lanterns in the show, but they uncover a terrifying mystery that ties into the larger story of the DCU, and also that there's no more Greg Berlanti lantern show that was being made before this.
Okay. Yeah, so you think they reworked that, or do you think that's just done?
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some maybe elements, but I'm sure there's some elements because it was still a Lanterns TV show. I think the idea of a Lanterns TV show is a good place to start. But I'm obsessed with this idea.
That's True Detective.
Of like, it's like, it's either going to be like Hal and John are buddies, or they're like slightly at odds with each other.
Either one is good.
Because of differing opinions. But either way, I am so here for this.
I'm always down for like a crime mystery.
Yeah.
And the fact that it deals with like space cops is great. I'm obviously a huge fan of Green Lantern.
Cops.
I think it's the best of both worlds too, because you have Hal Jordan fans, and you have if you read a lot of comics, you're probably more of a Hal Jordan fan.
Yeah.
I feel like if you've seen a lot of the animated of Justice League and all of that.
Like me.
John Stewart is your boy.
Yeah.
We're getting the best of both worlds. We're getting both.
Yeah, and he said that it's not just them two. It's like there's going to be a couple others that are like sprinkled throughout this show as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're
maybe
eating as lanterns.
Maybe a Guy Gardner. A Kyle Rayner. I forget who the girl
the ones
is.
I know.
It's Jennifer, I think. I forget. But I don't. Some terrestrials like mystery that space cops are going after. That's in the larger DCU. I don't know what that could be at the top of my head, unless it's. I don't know, but it does sound like fascinating. Also, like the images they used was like a Earth 1 Green Lantern. I don't know if that's an inspiration, but it was of John with the yellow rings. So
I saw that they had two different rings. Yeah, that was interesting.
It would be, I gotta say, it'd be a little weird to see John with a yellow ring.
Yeah.
I mean, I will also say that like what's got me excited about this being a TV show is that like I was so curious why they decided like certain like I guess platforms for certain properties, and they were saying like. Basically, if we feel like a story can be told in a like the amount of time for a movie, then we'll tell it in a movie. But if it's like this, where it's like a crime saga and there's a longer story to be told, then we're gonna do it through a television show. And yeah, so I think that's super exciting to me because like even with the MCU, it's never, even with their shows, it's never been like let's tell a 7-8 hour story. It's like let's tell the movie length of a story in a showtime.
Yeah, and they have. I mean, and the fact that I think they might have said it's like going to be very HBO. Like all these shows are going to be very HBO, which is something that Marvel doesn't really know how to. It doesn't seem like they've really cracked the code on how to tell a TV show format.
Story.
Because it really does just feel like let's take like these 35, 40 minute segments of a movie and just cut them at certain moments to, The
only time they feel like they really succeeded at that was WandaVision because it went through.
It was a sitcom.
You're right. It went through it dealt with television shows almost every week. So it was a very like segmented episode by episode.
See,
and they almost got it with Moon Knight, in my opinion. They almost got it.
Yeah, I don't
in
know.
a TV format.
See,
okay, all right.
Why is he on? See,
but I'm saying, regardless of the story,
I might be jumping. Why do you have him, James?
Oh, the writer for Moon Knight.
Yes.
Yeah,
but that was there. Okay, the end of that show aside,
no, all of it.
No, I mean I can't defend most of that.
I mean, it was really like quite interesting characters. Like,
it has its fans. It definitely does.
Look, I'm not saying take away the Moon Knight lore of everything. It's a well done show, especially going up to that episode 5 when you go into the backstory of like him with his mom and everything. Like there is some really dramatic, well done. Mystery, like you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I think there is some well done stuff. If you take the Moon Knight lore, I know it's not other people's Moon Knights and whatnot, and I know the end fight is very, not great, but
I mean,
I think
I would say 5th episode is the only watchable episode. Like, I would go back and like,
okay,
because otherwise I could watch National Treasure.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, it had like 15 minutes of like Moon Knight total in the entire series.
Sure, but I'm saying from a story of going from story, not how much Moon Knight is in a fucking story. Whatever.
Doesn't that matter?
Sure, but also no. Like,
okay, I guess
it can be used in like a sparingly way or whatever. I can't speak, but whatever.
A fan.
Let's not get into Moon Knight.
Well, because he brought up the writers.
We jumped universes.
I'm gonna talk.
Thanks, Jeremy's.
Yeah, I'll bring up the writers real quick. Gunn said it's him, Tom King, Crystal Henry, who's working on Watchmen, or who worked on Watchmen. Christina Hodson, who wrote The Flash. Drew Goddard, who I actually forgot what he was from.
He did a few on Daredevil.
He actually wrote a lot of Daredevil. Yeah. And then Jeremy Slater, who did Moon Knight. Yeah.
So I'll talk on Tom King a bit though, because he has made divisive comics recently.
Okay.
Like the one that has only been really critically acclaimed is his recent Supergirl,
Okay.
small run.
Right.
Which
Are you talking about the one that's based off the movie coming up?
Yep.
Okay.
Otherwise, his Batman run recently was very people
Polarizing,
liked it and then they didn't.
What was the Batman run called?
Basically Batcat back, modernized.
Oh, is it when he marries Selena? And
Yeah.
everything? Oh, yeah. I heard that was
Interesting.
divisive.
Yeah. And then Flashpoint.
I kind of like some of it.
Batman comes in the very end, and basically it was the last 20 issues where people were like, oh, but I personally liked it a lot because it touched a side of Batman we didn't see.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I'm also slight worried about Christina Hodson. I know she's writing The Flash and that's being received super well, but she also wrote. I mean, and I do like both of these movies. I just don't think they're great movies. So she wrote Bumblebee and she wrote Birds of Prey. I don't know how you guys feel about those movies.
Oh, Bumblebee is pretty damn good actually.
It's pretty good.
I mean, the thing with writers, until they have a well-established track record, and this goes for a lot of creative people, just because there's so many things, the script of a movie can be so much different than what it turns out to be because of so many factors. I mean, you have acting, directing, lighting, sound, editing. I think it's very easy to say this person wrote this thing, it's probably going to be garbage.
Sure.
I think first of all, there's only so many screenwriters in Hollywood that major studios are going to be
I trust you to work on this.
I trust you with our big project.
Sure.
But they, I think nobody wants to make something bad. And, if James Gunn is thinking you're a good storyteller, then I think that it'll probably work out.
He pushes the barrier, and I'll always respect someone that innovates and tries to always break the mold.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't stick the landing for everyone. But
absolutely.
And also they said if something's not ready, then it's not coming out. And I mean, if they're gonna outright say Peter say Batgirl was unwatchable,
unreleasable.
That's what confirmed it for me.
Because we're gonna only get what they think is.
Well, I also don't know if he meant I do think the movie was probably bad, but I don't think he meant unreleasable in the way that it was bad. Just that it was so in line with the old studio's plans for their universe that I don't think it was necessarily you could release it in this current slate they're trying to do.
No, did he say unreleasable or did he say unwatchable?
I think he said unreleasable.
That's very important.
He said he wouldn't say unwatchable. I don't think that's really harsh. I mean, unreleasable is harsh, but unwatchable is really harsh.
I think that the movie. I think I agree with your points,
right?
But I also think it was probably really bad.
Sure, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Do we want to?
Yeah. So moving on. This is another one from obscurity, which
absolutely.
This is coming after
Lanterns,
Superman Legacy.
Oh, and that too.
And I should mention that part of the reason why I think that we're going to get maybe the Brave and the Bold in 2026 is that I think James said they're aiming for 2 movies and 2 shows every year. So if Superman's coming out 2025.
True. The Authority would come out in 2025 as well.
But we'll see. But anyways, The Authority, which is a movie about superheroes with extreme methods of protecting. This is originally from Wildstorm, which is an Image line that was picked up by Jim Lee, who is now the head of DC Comics. The team was originally named Stormwatch, and they described themselves as a higher authority. So, that tells you a lot right there.
I think that's super exciting because like we had already mentioned that he's going to be talking about these gray, morally, individuals. And I think we kind of assumed that that was going to be, the villains of this universe, but the fact that you have a group of superheroes that will go through like almost any means necessary to like stop even worse things from happening is a super interesting movie idea. And I hope that like the other sides of the universe like clash with it in like an exciting way. Yeah.
I was reading up on some of the history and also getting some other people's perspective from people that I follow on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's very possible that they kind of are the Justice League that our Justice League, like our Superman and our Batman, would like strive to not be.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that they could be at some point the, almost like from I forget which comic line it was, where it was the you had Owlman instead of Batman, and I forget who played Superman.
That was I think that was Stan Lee writing for like his version of what Justice League would be.
But it was that they had from another universe, from another dimension, the bad Justice League, and they had to fight each other.
Okay,
I forget what they were called, but like maybe they could be antagonists,
right?
But on the flip side, and if you guys want, I wrote down the most known members.
Oh yeah, I don't know any of the members of the Authority.
But I will say that one of the members, Midnighter, who is essentially the Batman of this, has kind of shown up and interacted and done stuff with the Bat family in the comics.
Interesting.
And also that in the most recent run of the Authority, Superman kind of teams up with them. So like you said, not all good and not all bad. It's very possible that maybe they'll be antagonists for a bit, but maybe they'll get along later on. But,
I mean, my thought on the Authority is that like we could see this team, like just like Creature Commandos before it, like we could see multiple like groups come together and like fail publicly miserably. And like maybe that's
you think the Creature Commandos are gonna fail miserably?
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know. I mean, like anything that Amanda Waller sets up, not saying that she's bad at setting stuff up.
She's using them as pawns for her chess game.
And yeah, so I think seeing like these like public group failures maybe, and like would maybe spark like this universe's Justice League happening. I don't know if that will be the case, if that even happened in phase 1. But yeah, I think this is a really exciting group to have in this universe.
I think Justice League will be down the line.
Yeah.
Quite a few years.
Agreed. They're not going to rush it like the old studio.
Before I get into who the characters are, you said you had thoughts about the Authority, right? Earlier?
Not anymore.
Oh,
okay.
Because I thought it was animation too. I'm like, those are going to conflict.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I was like, no, I think maybe like, I think it should be fine. But there are a lot of entourage like groups.
I agree. If it was animated, I think it would clash. Yeah.
So before I go into these characters, just kind of think. First of all, these characters are all made very postmodern and think very like The Boys light.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the creators that have worked on these comics, like Mark Millar, he ended up creating the Ultimate universe for Marvel, which was a lot edgier. Nice. And he also did Nemesis, which you still need to read, Jared, because it's incredible. So these are the most likely to probably show up. So there's Jenny Sparks, and they all have like, so there's their names, and then they have these like other names.
Yeah, they're superhero names.
Sort of
like code names or. Yeah.
But so it's Jenny Sparks, but she's known as the spirit of the 20th century.
Oh, I actually read about her. Yeah, no, she's actually an interesting character because she dies. She like is born on January 1st, 1900, and dies on like December 31st, 1999. So she's literally like the spirit of the 20th century.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. Because what I have is she's like electricity powered. She's ageless.
Yeah.
She typically wears a Union Jack shirt.
I want to say I read her godfather's Albert Einstein, weirdly enough. I could be wrong.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like a superhero Forrest Gump.
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of this from IGN, by the way.
Sure.
So, and she's kind of big part of cultural moments. One of those is at least in one of the comics, she convinces Hitler to go into politics.
Oh my gosh. What?
I mean, she wears a Union Jack shirt.
Yeah, but
so,
I hope there's a good reason for that.
No offense to anybody who's like a British listener. I don't think we have any, but we might. But I mean,
we might.
Hey, you never know. I have Russians.
So we got someone from Finland.
That's what I'm saying. You never know.
There's Jack Hawksmoor, which is known as the god of the cities. So he can read the energy of cities and the feelings of the people within them. Just like Jenny, he pretty much just wears civilian clothes, which is like a white shirt and a black blazer.
Okay.
There's Apollo, the Sun King, which is basically the Superman.
Yeah.
His husband is Midnighter.
Okay.
So the Superman, Batman are like married.
Interesting.
One of the only original members of Stormwatch, along with Midnighter. And like almost all of these characters are have bioengineered implants put in. So that's how they have their powers. The Midnighters, which is Night's Bringer of War. These names are crazy. But
so interesting reading these characters.
He basically looks like Batman and Daredevil in black leather.
So they don't have all of them, right? They don't have like all of them in this live action, right?
Well, I mean,
they might.
It's a superhero group. I would assume that most of those are going to be in it.
Well, there's like a lot. I hope it's like.
Well, that's 4. I mean, I only have 2 other ones, which is Swift.
Okay.
Who's like she's like bird powered, has a green suit and wings.
I expected that to be the Flash like character. But
I guess you would get that from Swift. Her name's like the Winged Huntress.
Okay.
So
neat.
And then there's the engineer, who's also known as the Maker, who her body's like basically nanotechnology, and she's like she's pretty much the leader of the group, and she's like pretty OP.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah.
I mean, sounds like solid characters, honestly. I'm excited to see them.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to be at odds with Justice League characters, though.
For sure.
Mean, they said that they're going to interact.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact like how they use their powers is going to clash with the Justice League.
Yeah.
So
hopefully, if they do clash, it's a scenario where they're kept around.
You want the Authority to stick?
Why not?
I think I would like them to stick around.
Here's the thing.
At least a couple of them. I think I got to be honest. I think a couple of them are probably going to die.
Like truly, if this is like a one-off movie and basically like this just has like an impact on the universe, I'm okay with that.
Sure,
like,
I'm okay with that too.
Like I said, like if this is like some huge ass failure of a group and they all like perish, then that's something that like the Justice League has to learn from, you know?
I mean, how would they know?
Well, I mean, it would be like a public, like, you know, like tragedy, right? But
maybe there's like backlash of like having another super group be formed.
I do want to see like, the characters of the Justice League like actually react to what they're doing.
Let me build on that. What if we see them publicly fail multiple times, so there is a very big public failure where they all perish, and then by that point, the Justice League characters like this young Superman, this Raven Bold, but you still need to.
We need to.
We'll get to that.
Where all those actually form, because they still need a Wonder Woman. You still need like to find and build up the Justice League. So if they are going to fight, they have to stay around longer.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, whether they interact with mainline DCU characters in their own movie. If they don't, then we know that we're going to see them later on because they said they will interact.
Yeah.
But moving on, there's Paradise Lost, which is a Game of Thrones style drama set on Themyscira before the events of Wonder Woman.
Before she's even born.
Before she's born.
Yep.
This is apparently all about the political intrigue behind a society of all women. How did that, come about? What's the origin of the island of all women? What's the scheming like?
I mean, I obviously am a huge fan of Game of Thrones, so
same here.
Seeing that does make me excited because I do like seeing the inner workings of like your politics and society and like delving deep into that. I'm curious to see if this is going to be like, if there's going to be that much lore for Themyscira. Which I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm curious to see why it's important in this 10 project slate.
I have some possible theories on why that would be. To start with, this is kind of recalls this comic series by Phil Jimenez and George Perez, which is about the Civil War on Themyscira.
Okay.
So but that directly involves Wonder Woman.
I was just about to say, yeah.
But you can take that out.
Maybe. But and here's the thing: you could go like season 1 could be, if they do multiple seasons of this. Like season 1 could be like leading up to Diana's birth if you wanted, and then you could keep going and maybe that's how you get to the Civil War part, and maybe that's how you find, you know, the grown up Wonder Woman at some point. You know.
Yeah. What I think is probably, first of all, this chapter is called Gods and Monsters. The Themyscirans are, you know,
pretty much
directly related to gods, whether they're going to do Greek or Roman.
You think they'll do Zeus again?
Did they do Zeus?
They did Zeus last time for Gal Gadot's. Yeah.
No, they did Ares.
Was it Ares?
Yeah, it's always Ares. He's always the antagonist.
Okay. I don't know why I thought it was Zeus.
I think that it's very possible that there is a building kind of either conflict between like something happened that they wanted to have only an island of women. And I feel like the gods are going to be directly involved. And maybe by the time we get up to Diana, to Wonder Woman, that there'll be grudges still or conflict still happening in different ways that, you know, because of something that happens with Wonder Woman in the future, like starts up again. I wouldn't be surprised if that's, you know, a big part of it.
For sure. I know, like, you know, that it's like it's really an origin story for like the island itself and like the politics of it. So I could see this taking place hundreds of years before Diana's birth. But you know, it could go either way. I don't know.
I mean, if it is Game of Thrones, like I think there'll be some lore that ties into things later on. But if they're going to focus on the Game of Thrones of it all, it's maybe just going to be, you know, something to watch for scheming and manipulation. For
sure.
But I don't know. Do you think that this will be a season, like a one season? Or do you think it'll be a multiple season sort of deal? Because that's the thing about these shows. Like, is Waller going to be one season?
I would kind of be surprised if they did multiple seasons for any of these shows.
They're probably going to decide based on reception. Because I'm wondering how people will receive a show about Themyscira without Wonder Woman. Will they sit down and watch that?
Yeah. Will they actually care?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's what I was going to wonder.
Sure. But like, I mean, but if you market it like Game of Thrones, it could really draw people
Themyscira. Well, it'd be called Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost, right?
They honestly probably could have just gone with Themyscira. But I get probably why they're saying that, because it's not a paradise wherever they were anymore.
Right, right. Oh, yeah, that could be it. That they like lost the previous home and now this island is,
That's true.
That could be very true.
Like I'm thinking deep into the back, like Golden Age comic stuff, but I don't know. It could be something new because they're maybe trying to modernize stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, that's fair.
Moving on to The Brave and the Bold, which is the DCU Batman movie, which is going to feature Damian Wayne, who's his murderous tween. Assassin. Raised by assassins, raised by Talia al Ghul.
Didn't know existed for the first 8 to 10 years of his life.
Right. Yep. It's gonna be like a father-son story. It's gonna have the Bat family, or the beginning of the Bat family.
But how? Without Dick.
I feel
we'll get into that.
What they said is that there will be some like extended Bat family as well in this Brave and the Bold movie. But I also heard that this is like the start of the Bat family.
The beginning of the Bat family.
Right. Yeah. So I don't understand how you can start off with Damian.
Like, unless you make Damian like Dick, but I don't want that. I want Damian to be like each.
I think Damian will be Damian.
Like,
Damian will not be like
Dick.
this.
Please be like at least half Middle Eastern. Like, I really want Talia to be Middle Eastern, and I might be jumping. Like, I actually want to see an actual Hispanic Bane.
Oh yeah,
and not the Fire Rises.
Right.
Like, like I'm good on that.
Yeah. So there's like two thoughts in my head, which is either this is a Batman who's had other, Robins, and then Damian's just the newest one.
But how? That's like, to me, that's so unsatisfying not being able to see all of that story.
Yeah,
like we're missing out on like 2 or 3 of the Robins.
Well, that doesn't mean that we can't see that in some way down the line, or it's a Batman that starts off with Damian as a Robin, which that's also fine with me. But here's the thing: the reason that the one thing that I agree with you about with that is. My Robin is Tim Drake. Okay. I like Tim Drake as Robin. I don't prefer him as Red Robin. I prefer him as Robin.
I feel you. Yeah.
But I prefer Dick as Nightwing, and I prefer 100%. Jason Todd as Red Hood. So I think maybe in flashback stuff, you could see the times when Batman was training Dick, but I think that this is an interesting take. Of having because we always see Batman dealing with like just stuff with him, we never see him deal with in live action being a father. So I think this is a good, interesting take.
I mean, that's fair, but we've also never, like you said, we've never seen him with a Robin before.
And
so why not?
Technically, but he was.
Yes, it was the '90s George Clooney, right?
And the thing about starting off with Damian, either way, is. I don't think in any way you could really make it you can say, oh, we raised, I had Robin, I had Dick Grayson as my Robin, and then he became Nightwing, but maybe you do it at a higher up age or something, because the only way that it works where it's a kid is Damian, where it doesn't sound ridiculous, because you wouldn't have this 30-year-old man take a 14-year-old into gunfire, but with Damian it makes sense because he's a fucking raised by assassins,
and he's your son,
and he's
that makes it worse,
which kind of makes it worse
for sure.
I guess I think too much like Batman now.
But that was a bonus. You're like, I know I can trust you.
Exactly.
Holy crap.
I think we're probably gonna see Nightwing, and I think we're gonna see a Batgirl or whatever. I don't think we're gonna see them as. I know, you seem upset.
Yeah, I mean, because that to me it means if we're getting Damian at 10 years old, that means we're getting a Batman in his mid to late 30s,
or 40s.
Sure,
he could be pushing 40.
But
see, what's wrong with that?
To me,
it's not Batman's age,
right?
It's the Robins.
But that's the thing. To me,
I think they'll age.
We got that kind of Batman with Ben Affleck. Not that he had a Robin in those movies, but he was an older Batman. I don't want to see all of Batman's life already gone.
I don't. Sure, but I don't. I think there's still stories to be told, and we've already seen so many young, early age Batman.
But we haven't seen the other Robin stories in live action.
But are they that interesting?
I think Jason Todd's is pretty fucking interesting.
We can get to that. We can get to a Red Hood story.
But if you're skipping to Damian, you can't.
Yeah, you can.
Well, technically you can. It's just
Red Hood emerges.
It's just you don't see. I guess you could throw in all that exposition in the movie.
You would have to say Jason died years and years ago.
Or we just start with Damian and then we get on to other Robins, which would be an unorthodox way of doing things.
For sure. I don't know how I feel about that. But it's better than not.
I'm up to interpretations because if he is the first Robin and he still is very similar to Damian, and then we get out of order Robins, let's say we get Barbara next, and then we get Tim Drake and then Dick. As long as it's written well, I'm not a purist, okay? Like I don't need to see the same exact things that I have seen.
That's fair.
I've read, Yeah. So as long as they make it work,
right? As long as it's written well, then I'm fine.
I'm excited to see a young Robin.
Yeah. Finally,
it'll be 30 years.
Finally,
since,
live action.
It'll be the 30 years since last live action Robin.
Wow. It's really been that long.
It was 1997.
Yeah.
Time is
crazy.
I don't like it.
I think
we need to harness it like all these movies are with time travel.
I have a feeling that the villain is probably going to be something to do with the League of Assassins. I would imagine.
I would not mind if it's Raish.
Or if it's Talia.
Yeah.
I mean, both. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they have to keep Talia after because.
Sure. This is
like
mom. Or his mom dies. And that's, a really fucked up thing that they can bond over.
They could.
No, save that later.
Yeah.
Save that fuel for later.
Okay. But what's the
juice.
possibility of Ben Affleck directing this? Because I do want to have Ben Affleck direct something. And
I don't
I
see it.
I'm not familiar with...
I could see it. I could see it.
Familiar with his filmography, like what he's directed.
Argo.
He did Argo. Okay, so I thought it was that, but I wasn't too sure. What else? That's the only one I know.
The Town, Gone Girl.
I've heard about it.
I mean, to me, I think like the Batman movie, he was gonna be directing,
which
originally.
Could still be the script in a way.
Maybe.
You could still make Deathstroke work in a way.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was that it was very focused on like Batman himself against Deathstroke. And it kind of seemed like, I don't know, maybe Deathstroke was kind of forming a league of his own, but based on the Justice League.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, I also think like the Justice League was also very involved in that movie. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he does want to make a Batman and Robin movie. I don't know. I don't know what he really wants out of the DC universe at this point.
I mean, set up Deathstroke so that
I think he'd just love to make a Batman movie.
Possibly.
He's got a Batman cave in his house.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's a big Batman fan. I mean, I could see it, but
I mean, it does seem like we're going to with Superman and Batman. We're trying to build up like, all right, what is the foundation of these characters?
Yeah.
What are the reasons why people resonate with them? And then how do we also bring them to new audiences? Which I think generally that we see James Gunn do it with like unorthodox characters, unknown like comic book characters, obviously with Guardians, finishing up a trilogy this year. Yeah. Peacemaker, no one knew who he was at all until Suicide Squad.
Most of those characters in the Suicide Squad too, right?
Like maybe like Bloodsport, like
Harley Quinn. Yeah.
I mean, Harley, right. She was another one though. So, but like he has a way of to bring in these characters and bring in these stories for ways that normally you would be like, oh, overlook this. People care about him.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely, enjoys bringing, the unknown characters, the families, which is, like the Bat family will be one of those.
Exactly.
And I think, this ties right into it. Yeah.
And I don't think he's a purist in that. And in fact, he's a storyteller. He probably wants to tell new stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Moving on from that, Booster Gold is announced, which is an HBO Max series.
So live action show.
Let me tell you I saw him like, why? And then
I shocked the hell out of me.
And then I'm like,
it shocked you.
Absolutely.
And then my eyes.
I kind of predicted that we were getting this. People had been talking about this for a minute.
Then my eyes lit up because I thought, we're potentially in the future because, like you said, we're not getting the same. I am not too sure because I'm not the Blue Beetle reader. I just know their stories when they pop in Justice League and out, and I love it. But seeing their stories potentially come to life in the future would be incredible.
I think, like obviously I didn't know like a crap ton about Booster Gold, but like knowing his origins and like who he is just like a super different way to tell a superhero story.
Yeah.
And then like the fact that we're probably going to get to see like super futuristic Gotham City is so freaking like exciting to me. And then to see like all the new tech that's going to be like, in the DC universe and to see like time travel happen is just all of that's going to be so insane for a Booster Gold movie. And just excited to see it.
Yeah, I guess.
Or show, I guess
we should say that the basic premise of this show is that Booster Gold, who is Mike Carter, is basically described as a loser from the future.
I wonder if he, after turning him into a loser.
Oh, I heard, at least in the comics, that like he was the star quarterback who like his dad kind of like forced him to like, throw a game for like money. And so then he was disgraced.
Well, it wasn't his dad. It was his. Basically, his origin is he for money through games, and it become a really bad habit. But that he wanted to stop. The people didn't want him to stop it,
right?
And then he ended up quitting because of it and got kicked out of university.
Okay.
Has got into gambling because of that. His mom was not a fan because that's what happened with her dad,
right?
And so she just disowned him. But she was already going through stuff anyway. So his story's actually really sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. Yeah.
Yeah,
a really funny character.
Yeah, really, it sounds really sad, but apparently it's gonna be a comedy
for sure. Will
and so he just goes back in time with basic future technology to be basically imposter syndrome hero of today. You said future Gotham?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I heard that it's like
he lives in Gotham.
Hundreds of years in the future in Gotham.
Yeah, he lives in Gotham.
And then he timed like it's like 2300 or 2400 or something.
25th century?
25th century? Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a crazy amount of time we're seeing Gotham.
I wonder if they're going to change it to where they're playing football, because I don't know if we're still going to be playing football in the 25th century. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I could see they're making like some futuristic sport that we don't even know.
Sure,
yeah. Kudos to them for if they do that, because I always find it interesting when
football withstands the test of time.
Conservative. No, they have just super powered what if it's like Super Mario Strikers level of like football?
Yeah.
They just like say, all right, there's no padding at all. Let's go.
Well, I mean, we thought the Fortnite reference in Infinity War was going to age bad, but that ended up being true, that we're still playing Fortnite this year. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah, but a lot of people are.
A lot of people are.
Losers. I was kidding. The fact that they're able to put out the content they do is kind of incredible.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
This isn't the Ted Korg Blue Beetle.
It's not.
So, but do you think that they could?
It's not Black Beetle though. I forget which Beetle this is. He's Blue Beetle, but he's not like.
Isn't it Jaime? Is that his name? Anyways, do you think that they would have an interaction of some kind? Those two? I'm not particularly well versed in how the two characters, and this is a different iteration of Blue Beetle.
I can see there maybe being a story of you look very familiar to a guy I need to find, like something like that. Or because,
but you don't. But like you said, like you're not purist. Like, do you think that there could be like a new sort of Booster Gold Blue Beetle team up when it's those two? That play off of one another.
I mean, it's just never been done before, so maybe.
I just think
I'm just saying I feel like there's people who are gonna want the Ted Korg Blue Beetle. Yeah. Maybe they'll be him. Maybe he'll be there.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
I think potentially we might even see it all happen. Like the birth of it. This will be because he's dealing with time travel. Like that's his main thing, and he's honestly generally pretty important to time travel in the DC universe. Like he's generally the call for help, last case scenario. Guys, something's fucked up.
The fact that they're already introducing time travel is it's exciting and kind of insane to me.
I mean, it's a big thing in DC.
Yeah.
Flash, that's literally his thing.
That's his thing. Yeah.
He's always going back to fixing stuff.
Right.
And then Booster Gold, especially in recent, pre 52 and all that stuff, he's always been basically the Paul Revere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. So next on our list is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is a movie. It's going to be taking its cues from the recent Tom King miniseries run. And it's going to be a different take on Supergirl, who instead of her cousin Kal-El, who was raised, lovingly, she was on a rock, a speck of Krypton, while everybody else around her died. So she's gonna apparently be
super jaded, right?
Super jaded, super hardcore, and apparently it's a very science fiction epic. It's a science fiction epic, is what we're being told.
I mean, that's exciting as hell.
Hardcore, huh?
Yeah, and was that the fourth movie or third movie that we're getting?
This is the fourth movie.
Fourth movie. Yeah, that's crazy that we're getting Superman and Supergirl stories that close together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you were saying that like this Tom King like run of Supergirl is like one of his best, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm curious as to they're kind of changing her personality a little bit because she's kind of like down to earth and almost like
interesting.
Seeing like things for the like.
Now, since Tom King is working with James Gunn, you think like maybe this is what he wanted the origin to be?
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, this could be his retelling.
Right.
You know, like I said,
yeah.
If it works, I'm just chef's kiss.
Nice.
Because that story, from what I've heard, is like one of the best ones to come out. I think
like in recent
last
memory.
year, right?
Was it really last year?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty recent. Yeah. Yeah. It was 2021. Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's neat that they're adapting stories that are coming out that recent.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that it would seem that a lot more DC stories have been more interesting than recent Marvel ones.
Sure.
I don't know as much about Supergirl as, I mean, other than, you know, she's Kal-El's cousin, and she's generally been throughout the years just Kal-El, but a woman. It would seem most of the time. So I don't know how this run. I mean, I think it's really cool that she's being depicted differently, like oppositely.
Yeah, maybe. Well, you need to have some contrast because those two movies are coming out so soon.
Sure.
You know?
I there's one. I guess I'll say one thing, like one rumor thing, and then the second thing that I'll start off with is this going to be the Supergirl, the Sasha Calais or Kaye? I don't know how to say her last name from The Flash.
Because she's taken out of the end of The Flash. So
how do we know that?
Well, I think they confirmed that.
We've heard reports that her cameo's like at the end where like you have this new Justice League standing there, like she's not there, but she obviously is in the movie. But yeah, I think they probably made the decision not to like keep that continuity going.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing is, so this is just a rumor that's gone around. I don't know if it's true. But apparently the 1984 Supergirl movie, which
I didn't even know that existed.
Right. It didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think it came out.
Oh, okay.
It might have. I don't know. But the thing is that Warner Brothers rumored didn't want to. That was the reason they wouldn't cast a female-led like movie for a superhero. And then for like 20 years, and then they tried again with Halle Berry.
Oh.
And so the rumor is that like that was the reason that they wouldn't cast the lead, because they didn't think that like a woman could lead a superhero film. So it's kind of, if that's true, it's kind of interesting that now after like Captain Marvel and Black Widow and all these other female-led movies and Wonder Woman, they like finally decide to do Supergirl.
Yeah, I mean that is crazy that like that the studio was like, yeah, one bad woman-led movie. That's enough to show us that they don't work.
Yeah, I mean, if that's true, that's really ridiculous.
That's insane. But like, good. I'm glad, that Supergirl can finally be redeemed if that's the case. Yeah, I mean, and obviously Wonder Woman worked super well for DC Studios, so there's no reason for them not to make this movie.
Yeah. I think Superman probably shows up in the movie.
For sure he does. Yeah, I mean, if this is interconnected universe and you have Superman in this, he's going to show up.
I'm trying to remember if he's in this story. I don't think he is.
Even if it's like at the beginning or end of the movie, I think that would be enough.
Probably
okay.
the end.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Or like she sees his life. Sure. Like while she's still figuring out her stuff, and like, oh, look what my cousin's been doing. And
right. Are they? So they are cousins? Yeah.
I mean, they're cousins in the comics.
Okay.
I mean, I would assume that they're going to keep that.
Okay.
Yeah,
because it does seem kind of coincidental that two people from the same family lived on Krypton, but but I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, I think in there they're not cousins, but I'm not sure. In that story, but I could be wrong. I haven't read it.
I'm okay either way, honestly. I just think it's kind of like goofy comic writing if they're cousins.
Yeah.
But
Sure. And then lastly, last movie, which, I'm kind of really excited about.
Yeah. I know some people are really excited about this one.
Swamp Thing, which is going to be closing out part 1 of chapter 1.
Yeah, chapter 1.
And we should also mention that they said that all of these slates are up to change. Like it could potentially change, but this is what they have right now.
Right.
This is gonna be a horror movie, and it is going to be it's going to be in the DCU, but it's I don't think it's going to be super connected to things that are going on, because they said that it's outside of it, but I think that just means like,
well, at least for its own movie, it's going to be by itself,
but it says that it will feed into the rest of the stories.
Exactly.
Considering that this is going to be a horror movie and that Peter Safran and James Wan worked together on the Conjuring universe, and they worked together on making the Aquaman movies. Mm-hmm. And I think James was the one that made the Swamp Thing TV show that got canceled.
He made that. Did he? Okay. Wow.
Wait, James Wong made that?
I think so.
That's interesting.
It would be great if he would do a Swamp Thing horror movie. But I know he's also busy with his new Blumhouse deal.
Now, I don't know if you saw the other directors who showed interest in the Swamp Thing movie.
Oh, didn't Guillermo del Toro?
Guillermo del Toro wants to do it, and I also saw James Mangold maybe wants to do it. Which
both of those I'd be so down for.
Super exciting directors to want to do that movie.
Yeah,
I'm just shocked they keep trying with Swamp Thing.
Well, they didn't even try the last time.
I like Swamp. No, even comics he doesn't sell.
Oh, really?
Like they reboot him and redo him and give him a show and then cancel it for some reason.
Cancel after the first episode, yeah.
Which it was a great episode.
No one understood why they canceled it.
Yeah.
Like I'm just confused. Maybe they're trying finally. Like we just need a really strong live action.
Yeah.
Release a comic with it.
I mean, that's the same thing with The Authority. The Authority was just constantly being rebooted and trying to be reworked in, and this is kind of their first this. They were apparently that those comics were so influential to the rest of like comic book and superhero history, but this is them kind of trying to get it to be like a household name sort of big thing. I mean, Swamp Thing's similar to who was the Ted or whatever in Werewolf by Night. Man Thing.
Yeah, Man Thing. Yeah.
I mean, similar in concept beings.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe not personality wise, but
his personality is what I like about Swamp Thing. It's
Man Thing and Werewolf by Night is more Swamp Thing in Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah,
sort of.
Is he goofy in Harley Quinn or?
Well, in Harley Quinn, he's like this douchey hipster.
Wow.
Okay.
So completely different character.
Oh yeah. No, he's like all about the green, man.
I'm about to say he doesn't
about the green,
and he barely speaks.
Yeah.
Like I'm remembering this one-off comic. I think it was actually during Tom King's run, where him and Batman have to they have to do a mission together to get something.
Interesting.
And he's trying to talk to Swamp Thing. He's like, all right, so. And he's like, there's someone quieter than Batman for once. Like, he's just like, this is actually kind of awkward.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And he ends up pissing off Batman by the end because he ends up eating and killing someone.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was a ploy. He actually fooled Batman because Batman actually has.
That's the thing is this character is so different from almost anything we're getting in this phase 1. Yeah. So I'm just curious to see how he ties in it all.
Not necessarily because.
Sure, he's a monster like a bunch of other these things, but you could say he's he's morally gray, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess it fits. I'm just curious to see how he could stand next to maybe Superman if that's ever a thing.
I mean, no, he gets shredded by Superman, but
sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, he's one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. I mean, he's literally connected to the green, which is all around is the whole Earth. And also, the green is also used as a multiversal travel sort of thing. He's not travel necessarily, but it's a multiversal, can connect to different realities.
Wow. Okay.
And
Swamp Thing.
I mean,
But if they go in a fist fight,
it's. I don't know, man. I mean, he's really powerful. I'm not saying that he would
pretty
be
strong.
Here's the thing. I don't think I've ever seen someone say Swamp Thing could beat Superman.
I'm not saying that he would beat Superman, but I don't think it's like such a.
Oh no, it's not.
Like he would wipe him out immediately.
Yeah. Like it would be one of those like things where like he's holding him off, but he's not like dying if he's holding him off. You know, like
exactly.
But he would actually be able to hold him, but he definitely is not feeling good after.
Fair.
But Swamp Thing's primarily used a lot of the time with interacting with other DC characters as a means to get information. And so he's probably going to have his story that's going to be outside. It's not going to be super connected, but there'll be things that tie in. But I can totally see them eventually going to like a Justice League Dark. And if they don't do Justice League Dark, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Constantine or they just go to Swamp Thing in some sort of Justice League movie.
Justice League Dark is like perfect for Swamp Thing. Yeah.
So I can totally see how it fit, like how it could eventually fit in. But as a standalone, I just think it's exciting that like in just this first part of a chapter, we're getting a hopeful Superman, a comedy with Booster Gold, horror with Swamp Thing, some sort of Game of Thrones like drama, True Detective story. I mean, they're like super diverse storytelling.
And that's the thing is that James Gunn was even saying that, you know, he wants to let these voices like of the directors and writers like truly speak in their projects.
Right.
It's not going to be like the Gunverse, like he was saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we all wanted to see him say. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not MCU 2.0.
Right. Where everything kind of looks and feels the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I will say, since we're wrapping up DC at this point, I don't know if I want video games to be a connected universe.
Well, did you see how he thought games could connect in that?
I don't know if I saw a quote from it.
Yeah,
yet.
I mean, I think basically what he was saying, I'm kind of paraphrasing, is that like if there was like a Superman like 1 and 2 movies, that if they were to make a game, they would see like if they could explore like Krypton in between those 2 movies. So you wouldn't have to like play these games to understand the full story, but it could be like additional lore you're getting, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Right. It's pretty nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like, all right, this year I got to pay 70 for
right. To see the next chapter of the DC universe.
I got to pay 70 for this Batman game. I got to pay DLC to see the Bat Family expansion.
Yeah.
Next year I got to pay 70 for Wonder Woman.
Right.
Apparently that one has the Unreal Engine 6. I got to get it, bro.
Yeah, and I think the games are going to be like really sparse, like maybe like 2 a phase or something.
I hope
you
so.
know?
Like
Yeah.
if it's like that too, then that changes my viewpoint completely.
Okay.
Like that works.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you guys have any closing thoughts that you want to just say about what we got yesterday before we move on?
The meme of DC catering to Batman is still kind of alive, but
you
But he's like one of the biggest characters.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But it's only one movie.
yeah, but we have 2 because we have a whole verse with him with Matt Reeves and
Sure, but
like
were we gonna cancel?
Yeah.
Like
No,
if you canceled Matt Reeves' Batman, people would be pissed.
Oh, I would be at his door.
Yeah.
Be like, I would be at Warner Brothers in front of that water tower. I would have booked a flight when I saw that. I would not to Burbank. I don't care. I'm like, but anyways, yeah, like it's hilarious. It's just funny to me. It's just like, yeah, we know he sells.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm genuinely just I'm just happy about this slate. Like
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of it wasn't what we were expecting, and it's creative properties and groups and a bunch of cool characters that I didn't think we'd see. So yeah, I'm very excited. Dealing with, DC stuff, Dave Bautista also just had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran. And they apparently talked about the possibility of him playing Bane. Yeah. Thank you for that. I think James Gunn wants him to play Bane. I think a lot of fans would like him to play Bane. I just don't think he wants to necessarily. And I think that was that's kind of what he said.
He said he doesn't think he'd be able to keep up physically with like being Bane.
Right. He's like, because this is a fresh start of a new universe, he doesn't think he's going to be able to plan ahead for the future for that. So
that's not what I read.
What'd you read?
I read that he was having meetings with James, and that because he is basically going younger and kind of restarting,
he wouldn't fit in his universe.
He wouldn't fit in because he is older.
Yeah, it's kind of
right. That's what we're kind of saying.
But he's saying, but it wasn't that Dave Bautista doesn't want to do it, or that he doesn't think he'll keep up. It's that James is going younger and doesn't see him.
I guess the way I read it was that like, I think like maybe he does like want to go a different route, James Gunn, but like I guess I read it in the sense that James Gunn still wants him, but like he feels this way about the role itself, and that's why he's like kind of okay not doing it.
Yeah, he was saying a standalone would probably like I could do that.
Right.
Like a long trilogy where I am needed,
right,
to be looking like Bane.
Yeah.
I mean, how old is Dave Bautista now? Like
he's probably in his 50s. Right?
50 something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
no, he's up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he still looks good, but he's not as buff as he used to be. You know?
I mean, he did steroids then too.
Sure. But like, I know at some point he would like to play Marcus Phoenix, and I know that's going to take a lot on him. So,
and that's confirmed to be happening.
Well,
right?
The Gears of War movie the show, but he's not tied to it yet.
Yeah, but the show is happening, so he's probably he's knocking every day.
He literally put up a video of him in the armor and was like, "Hey, Netflix, please contact me." Yeah,
he loves that franchise. Now he wants to be Marcus. I think he should be Dom, but
he, at least for a long time, he looked exactly like Marcus.
But like, it's kind of funny because the only reason Marcus looks the way he is because dealing in war on Sarah. Anyways,
yeah.
I mean, who can they cast if it's not Dave Bautista for Bane?
I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people out there that could play that role.
Joey Swole. You should cast him.
Joey Swole. He's this big bodybuilder.
He's the guy who's been calling out all the recorders on in gyms and stuff.
Or Brian Shaw, maybe. But that's kind of. I mean, these are guys like. Who are more like Tom Hardy, who are going to be like, hello.
Never mind.
Right.
We need a big Hispanic lead.
Yeah, I do want to see a Hispanic Bane. I really do.
Because that's what he is. He's not a weird man from New Zealand.
New Zealand? Is Tom Hardy from New Zealand?
Is he? I don't know. I think he's Australian. That's the Westwood thing too. Is he didn't sound like he's from Middle. I think actually he was supposed to be Middle East.
No, but
I think he was
white. He was clearly white in that movie.
Yeah, but he was raised in like a Middle Eastern like.
Oh, was that the hole he went back to? Yeah.
So
okay,
I think that growing up, I literally thought like he was taken, like he wasn't from that area, and he was taken like from Australia or New Zealand, and was just found himself in that pit, like
that's amazing.
Like a situation kind of like
I get it though.
What a strange. I mean, we're getting off topic, but that.
No, but I mean, this is still Bane.
Dark Knight Rises was like
it is not aged well.
That the whole universe was fairly very grounded, but then once you got to like people in a big pit in the ground.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize
like weird.
How crazy that movie went at points.
Yeah.
Like he literally has a TV screen to torture him from thousands of miles away.
I mean, I think like the biggest thing to me, and I mean, this is super like the last thing I'm saying on this, but like the fact that like they sent like the entirety of Gotham's cops into the sewers is just absurd. Like there's like I think someone did the math, and like New York has like 40,000 cops, and Gotham like in proportion to that would have 60,000 cops. So they sent 60,000 cops in the sewers.
Almost, yeah. They sent basically 59,998.
Yeah,
because there was like maybe one other cop, and then like
I mean, they really hate cops. I mean, they buried them underground. There's no hope for like food or water.
No, but it just shows like, why didn't Gordon say anything about this?
Good question. Yeah.
I need to rewatch it.
I need to rewatch it too. Yeah.
I remember Blake being the one finding the mystery when they were all down there. I actually think there was maybe a talk. he was in the hospital.
Gordon was in the hospital
After he met with Bane and Underground.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
But still, I don't know what kind of cop you are, even if you aren't Gordon.
Yeah.
To just say, listen, every cop that we have.
Yeah, you're like, is this dude corrupt?
Yeah.
Wait, who's patrolling the streets now? Like, if I'm a criminal and I heard about this,
I'd be like,
I'm free to do anything I want for 2 hours. All right.
Right. Yeah. Even if the plan had worked, like 2 hours, like the city is just.
You're right. They put every cop.
Yeah.
They put every cop under the city.
That is absurd.
Gotham City, the most criminal-filled city in all of like DC
You would think you would
universe.
leave like a skeleton crew of some kind, which I guess maybe they did slightly, but a skeleton crew means that you can cover all the bases, which they could not.
In Gotham City, you need at least a squad to cover just one block. Like, and even then, a rogue is gonna come and just ruin your day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, yeah, we got a little off topic there, but yeah, moving to some more superhero news. We have Invincible being renewed for a second season, as well as the Invincible movie being announced and kind of being maybe not announced, but confirmed that it's moving forward, because this show is doing so well. Yeah, I didn't know if you guys had like castings that you were kind of like hopeful for.
I personally don't want to see a live action at the moment. Like, I don't want to think about it.
You're right, because it's hard to like encompass that much story into a movie.
Yeah, I'm like, what exactly are you going to be doing? Is it going to be? Because I don't know if they said specifically if it's going to be Mark, if it's going to be Omni-Man, or if it's going to be just something completely like a Battle Beast story or something.
It's gotta be Mark.
You would think, right? I mean, that's who audiences care about right now. Yeah.
Unless in season 2 changes things, because I'm telling you guys.
Sure.
The reason why we see Alan
in that diner,
he's one of the most important characters to Invincible. That's what people don't. He is.
So maybe we're getting an Alan movie.
Alan.
That could work.
Yeah.
I'm sure it could, but like
not for live action.
The main story is. It would seem to be Mark.
Yeah.
I want to see a live action Alan.
That would look a little
weird. Push the
barriers
of makeup and CGI.
Seth Rogen would have to sign up for that, wouldn't he? Or maybe they wouldn't get him. I don't know.
I know he's involved with everything, like a lot of Amazon stuff.
Sure.
So, and they really respect a lot of the comic book, like just the comic book stories that they're given.
Okay.
So
that's good at least.
Just touching on Invincible season 2. This would probably be Seth Rogen's biggest role for anything outside of like a comedy. Like that's how big Alan is as a character.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really seen him do any show stuff wise. I mean, not since like Freaks and Geeks. So
well, he was in Pam and Tommy.
Was he really? Wow.
And I know like that's been getting like Pamela Anderson's been in the news recently, like again being like, I was just really hurt and stuff about them making that show, but I guess like I'm not gonna be mad at anybody who took part in it.
Sure.
But I really liked that show.
Yeah, I know you did, yeah.
But anyways, that was just the other but
no, yeah.
I was gonna say about that, that I think first of all with season 2, I wanted to ask Jared stuff, but before I do that, with the Invincible live action movie, because the show is only helping it get forward and people take it seriously, I guess, is they'd have to adapt that story. And I think the big draw of Invincible is, at least from the first season of the show, and I don't know how many issues that is in the comics, is that relationship between Mark and the, what Omni-Man, his dad, turns out to be. Mm-hmm. I imagine that if they're going to adapt that they're probably gonna skip over a lot of, like, when he goes to the college and stuff like that, and all that like side stuff. Like they'll probably just focus on Mark. I forget the girl that he gets interested in. That's Amber, and maybe a bit of that superhero crew. And then just however they do it, just lead up to probably the climax is he finds out who Omni-Man is. Because I can't see, I mean, maybe they'll find something cool, but like, are they going to do a whole trilogy just leading up to Omni-Man? Like, because from what I gather, there's so much more story afterwards, which going into season 2, what I want to ask you is what you like, how you think this all could work, because you've said that it just gets even better and crazier. But to me, I want it to be good and great, but the best thing about Invincible was that Omni-Man threat and like Mark dealing with it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the like so exciting about season 1. It was a mystery again. Like you got to like really have that threat of like Omni-Man is the killer in the background, and like Mark doesn't know it, and I think that was like just so exciting for season 1. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's so much more material out there.
I would say I think the main draw for people that do read Invincible, it's if you are a big fan of moral complexities and just people challenging each other based on their moral standing, this is probably the best series to ever go through.
Wow.
It's like there are moments where Mark or good people are talking to a villain. And as the reader and even the heroes are like, oh shit. Like there's points where like you have to get out because I don't even know. Like I agree with both of you.
Interesting.
The moral complexities were just from a hero all the way to even just human like vulnerabilities. But I'm assuming they're going to go through with Mark because there is stuff that happens later.
Right.
I think that will probably keep people in.
Okay.
Because the mystery is still there.
Okay.
They build it with all the like why exactly did he? What happens when he leaves? Where is Omni-Man?
Right.
Like
what's his race of people called again?
Viltrumites.
Yeah. I mean, I know there is a conflict with the leader of the Viltrumites, which I gotta say, that name is hilarious because their philtrum is like the thing in between your nose and your mouth, and they all have mustaches because you have to have like a certain kind of philtrum to grow a mustache.
That's so funny.
I think, would you agree? Do you guys both agree that if this movie is made, that it has to be R? Like first of all, there's an expectation there. And secondly,
action-wise,
the contrasting of this Peter Parker-esque story is what makes Invincible different than like a normal, superhero show is the amount of graphic violence.
I think that would be a super exciting R-rated movie because it's like the R-rated movies we do get for superheroes are like Logan. And I mean, yes, we've gotten Deadpool, which is a goofy movie, but like, I feel like an Invincible like environment where things look normal and like,
and then all of a sudden they can just go
like
shit
in an instant, right? I think that's super exciting.
I mean, I feel like the only way to really grasp the threat of someone like Omni-Man is, spoilers for anybody who hasn't finished Invincible, but having Mark get pushed through a train of people and they all get obliterated in front of him is something that, is very Invincible like. Yeah. And I feel like that has to be represented because otherwise it's just
another superhero movie.
It's gonna be like it's gonna be like bloodless, like Morbius, and you're just gonna be like, well, I mean, I get it, but it's like lame. It's not impactful the same way.
Yeah, I totally feel that.
Yeah, the live action, it has to be R, and it would have like this definite different feel because you have almost like this kind of Spider-Man, like he's flying around, and then all of a sudden, let's just say, whenever they throw it in, like he comes across another big bad.
Right.
That just like after a really bad day or something. And then it ends up being one of the worst fights he's ever in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing, I don't know how much you know about it because they've thrown his name around like the writers have, but I would not mind seeing the Conquest, like any of that, just on live action.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that.
It's not a spoiler, but
the Conquest?
The character Conquest. Yeah.
From the show?
Yes. In
Who
the
is that?
books. He hasn't been
not in the
shown
show
in the
But he's
show
been
yet.
mentioned?
No.
The creators just mentioned
The
him.
creators, when they talk about interviews and stuff, like a lot of times they'll ask, what's your favorite characters or what's your favorite moment? I think Ryan's was the conquest moment, which I was
Nice.
like, really? That's
Ryan.
Otley.
Oh, I don't. Okay.
Well, did you have more to say on Invincible, or did you?
I'm wondering how far they're gonna push it because, like, issue-wise,
Mhm.
because the first season was only, if I recall, the first 14. And
Yeah, and it was like 8 episodes, right, or something like that.
it's 8 or 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's 144 issues in the whole story.
Mm.
So, like, the memes where it's
Okay,
like
that's a
it
good
shows,
pace. Yeah.
like,
That's a
This-
huge,
yeah,
huge. That's talking like going into 11 seasons or something.
yeah,
Or
and
more, which I doubt they're going to push it that far.
but I
because
could-
they
I could
have
see 10
cut
seasons.
content, right? Because there's content, like, for example, like his first villain we don't even see. Like, it's this estranged teacher who is taking jocks or people that bullied his son
Right.
and putting bombs on them.
Right.
And he just gives himself up.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming when they go through, Robert Kirkman's like, yeah, I'll just get rid of that.
Yeah.
Delete that. And when, like, the Guardians fight, that was like halfway through the book.
Oh my God, that fight.
Like, and you would
Jesus
have,
Christ.
it's much more gratifying to know that the power levels are tuned down from the book because they had no chance
Yeah.
in the comic. It was 2 pages. He was, only blood that was on him was his own blood.
Oh,
Like, it was,
good.
so generally the Viltrumites seemed lowered in their level, which is much more reasonable for the viewer because they're kind of invincible for a lot of people until they go further on. But I think we could potentially see pretty far up into one of his main villains because they were shown in the booth behind Alan the
Yeah,
Alien.
you were saying. Yeah.
So Angstrom Levy is an incredible character.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're going to delve into that. I think that's going to be a big part of season 2 with his backstory and the reason why he's even his villain.
Mhm.
And then behind Invincible or Mark is young Adam and the doctor that basically, so more of her backstory and showing where she
young
came
Adam Eve.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
That's who I was talking about. The love interest.
Oh, you said Amber.
Isn't
Well,
it Adam Eve?
Well, Amber
Isn't-
is
Is his like in real life girlfriend?
the
I
first
guess?
love
Right.
interest.
I was talking about Adam Eve, like
The actual love interest.
yeah, like they would have her probably in the movie for sure.
I
she's-
like Adam Eve so much.
She's
Yeah.
vital almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not I forgot about who I meant Adam Eve.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
I mean, she's forgettable in the show, I will say.
I mean, I think she was my least favorite part of that season.
In the comic, she's a much more she's written better. Because you
That's
can
good.
see that she's generally like a human trying to relate to a hero and what they do and not being there for dates and just leaving on an instant. And
Right.
right.
we might see that because she just came back randomly at the end of this season.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's it for Invincible, we have some more superhero news. I think we all at least Wes and I care about it. But Titans and Doom Patrol are,
You're a Doom Patrol watcher, aren't you?
he's watched some of it. Doom Patrol.
I got up to season 3.
Oh, you did? Okay. I didn't realize you were that far.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it when it was coming out, but I just kind of lost
Yeah.
track.
I mean, this was definitely an expected move.
Yeah.
Not that, like James Gunn and Peter Safran are saying they did this move.
It precedes them.
Right. It seems like both teams had a fair warning about them
Mhm.
being canceled, and the fact that these shows get hopefully a definitive ending is
Or at
something
least
I'm looking
satisfying,
forward to.
I guess.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that I don't feel like most of the Titans arcs are done.
Not even close.
So yeah.
Not even close, dude.
Well, unfortunately, that is almost a little bit too on the mark of Titans.
Yeah.
Gonna be ending on the
they really dragged it out.
shit show.
I at least the good news, I will say the good news about this is I'm like, oh, So I'll be done with
You'll
Titans
be done with
for
Titans.
like ever.
Yeah.
As soon as part 2 comes out. I'm sad about Doom Patrol. Even though I didn't watch all of season 3 or have watched season 4 yet, but that was a vastly superior show. It's like so entertaining and also like dramatic, but under like completely bizarre context.
It's one of the best shows that covers mental illness that I've like.
With
That's
like
great.
Crazy Jane.
All of them.
Yeah, especially like you're right.
Like, and then Larry is one of the best portrayed LGBT characters.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the best ensemble cast I have ever seen portrayed.
I feel like the same way that J.K. Simmons is J.
Jonah Jameson.
I feel like Brendan Fraser is Robot.
100%.
Robot Man.
Yeah, you think they could easily recast him? As
Like
that
I don't
in the
think
future.
anybody
I
would
hope
be like
they
against
all
that.
just like, you know what? That sucks. Come back with our new budget, though.
Yeah.
You know, not the HBO
Right.
Max budget. This DC Studios budget.
But clearly, like, you know, James Gunn said he liked Doom Patrol, and Jeremy Carver's working on Jeremy Carver?
Jeremy Carver.
Yeah. He's working on, you know, like writing the new DC Studios with or I guess my bad. He's working on the Amanda Waller show.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think there will be a place for some of these characters in the new studio.
I think that
Imagine.
I think that a Doom Patrol is very possible to have,
At some point, yeah.
but I think it's probably a little too soon since this canceling.
It's just unfortunate because there are characters that, you know, because they were throwing in characters. They were going through the comics essentially, super faithful.
Wow.
And basically the last one we got was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but essentially the woman that she can shapeshift into anything.
Rita.
No.
Rita.
She's a last.
Yeah, but Rita.
No,
What's her
there's
name?
there's another one that shapeshifts into anything. Like she can shapeshift into a pillow. Shapeshift into
In
like
Doom Patrol?
Yeah.
In the comics or in the show?
in the show.
Is she that woman that shows up with the drill?
Yep.
Oh, she showed up at the end of episode 1 of season 3. So.
I can't think of her name right now because I'm just rewatching all of them again, and they were going through a lot. They just added Case 2 from the comics with a track, and I was like, no, she's one of my favorite from Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that maybe I don't know how Doom Patrol's going with season 4, so maybe that'll be somewhat satisfying. I mean they generally, besides season 2's ending,
That was because of COVID, but
right?
Yeah, it really was underwhelming.
Yeah. But with Titans, I mean, I'm not. I can't say that I'm sad that it's ending.
Like
it's been a journey. I do. The thing is, like, I do like that because I like the comic book characters, and I even like some of the actors a little bit.
Yeah.
That it is a little sad, but
yeah, because like these castings are really, some of them are really good. Like I really love Joshua Orpin as Superboy.
yeah.
I would say I really do like Brenton Thwaites, I think that's how you say his name,
Yeah.
as Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Even though he's not your usual Dick Grayson, he shows it sometimes. Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is that like after every season, I kind of like in my head saw like, oh, this is where this group can go, and like this is where they can fix the problems of the last season.
Yeah.
But after 4 seasons of major problems in every season, I think I am also okay with this
Dying.
sailing into the sunset.
You're okay with
and dying.
putting the dog,
I mean, it's
putting the
just
sick dog down.
It's just that Nightwing doesn't really have a story, like an arc anymore.
He had it and it's over.
He's
now.
had it.
Yeah.
Raven,
Whatever her story was kind of ended in season 1.
Yeah. And Beast Boy, I guess, is getting something, but he's not even Beast. Like, he's never really even been a Beast Boy.
He's
Starfire.
he's been Beast Boy
I don't really know what's going on with. I mean, they all just have
Starfire's in the middle of her arc. right now.
I guess. Yeah, I guess with the visions and everything, but
and her powers. Yeah.
But I think we're gonna sadly we'll see Tim Drake get his Robin costume by the end of the season,
and then that'll be
that we'll see him for the one time, and that'll be it.
Which I don't know how far you've gotten into that, this current season.
I haven't really watched too much more than what we've talked about.
I'm sure he's really trying to turn that on.
Well, it's just he is trying to catch up.
Yeah, it must be rough. It must feel like working out.
It's not that bad.
I think it's good that they anticipated that this might happen, though.
That's why they have breaks, because I know Doom Patrol added halfway season break finale recently.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, same with Titans.
Yeah.
We had a part 1, part 2.
So I think that's the reason why, so they could truly put these out with a bang.
Sure.
Give them what they respected, because regardless, putting shows out this is season 4 for Titans too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, putting a show out for 4 seasons, regardless, is
it's an accomplishment.
It's still for sure.
And at least there are some good moments in Titans. So
there are. There's maybe equally as many bad moments, but
oh god.
I just here's the thing.
How many good? I mean, I guess
they're I just
are they? But what is the level of good? What is the threshold that you have to hit where it's good? Because it's. I mean,
I am shocked. There are some
moments
because here's my thing. I like season 1 except for the finale. I like half of season 2, and I think the finale's awful. I like half of season 3, and I think the finale is okay. At best.
I don't know. Yeah, that finale is pretty dog shit.
It's bad at worst. Right?
God, so 3 bad finales, and you're still with the show?
They're all bad finales. They're all bad.
Somehow season 3 finale was better than the first 2.
It's just that
so you accepted it. Yeah, it's
there's just things about the season 3 finale that make no sense.
But that you could say that with every single one.
But yeah, whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's just, but that one literally was the most not thought through, lore breaking shit.
Sure.
And I was okay.
Yeah. Really, the only show that I could say where I'm just having a hard time getting through, even though I still like it, was Westworld season 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard that was.
Yeah, I mean, I heard if you can get through season 3, that season 4 is really good.
Yeah. So. And that. They're not making another season, right? That's just the end.
Yeah,
and then
canceled.
I was hearing by fans that if you did watch it all and finish with season 4, that the ending to that is a nice ending for the whole series. So, yeah.
I personally think, because I know people hate on season 2. Last tangent on this, but season 2 is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear much people watch season 2, to be honest, but yeah, you stuck with it.
Season 1 and 2, peak.
I love season 1. But someone did complain about it in the sense that you built this beautiful thing that season 1 got to live in, but then you quickly dismantled it, and I think that is a bummer for me. I would have liked to explore more of Westworld itself, but
I mean there wasn't that much more to explore Westworld. They have a whole park.
Yeah,
we got to see the park.
Yeah, I guess you're not wrong. I didn't see season 2.
Yeah, because they show the park and all that.
I know they hinted at other worlds that they were creating or
that's
making.
what people didn't like.
Okay,
is that basically it just turns more into the sci-fi in the sense that we're not seeing just the robots, but they're coming to terms of we want to live and this is wrong.
Right. I mean, but that's the exciting part of the show. Yeah.
So I think I was with it. So.
Right. Well, I think the last thing that we wanted to discuss today was the Last of Us episode 3.
Yeah, for anybody who's been listening to our episodes or just listening to this one, we have been recapping, reviewing, just discussing all of the Last of Us episodes, and we're going to continue to. And this one was episode 3.
Yeah,
Bill and Frank.
Beautiful.
I don't know what it was, if it was called Bill and Frank or what it was called.
No, it was called. I forgot what it was called.
I can look it up real quick.
I have it in my head, but I don't.
But this is probably one of the most impactful TV episodes that I've seen in a minute. It was like as somebody who hasn't played all throughout the game, and I am a lot more welcoming of adaptation than some other people who are like, it needs to be like very faithful to the game. This was a complete.
It doesn't need to be.
I mean, I know
not too cool. He's insinuated like if you really dig in the game, like Ellie will like hold up like why it's like a men's magazine and like why is it stick like stuff like that and like
sure, but this was an elongated part of the show, and I don't know how other people feel about it. I guess I heard some things that maybe people thought that this was just like a filler sort of thing, which I completely disagree with.
Here's the thing.
I could like see it that way.
I completely disagree.
The story is beautiful, obviously, but like all it really leads to is Joel getting a truck.
No, it does way more than that.
I mean, but yes, it builds the world, but obviously. It does a lot for that.
But it does way more than that.
Okay, then tell me.
Okay, like what do you mean exactly? Like
how does it directly impact the main characters?
Okay, so a lot of the big point about Bill and Frank's story is Bill is somebody who basically lived on the inside and did not experience culture most of his life, was pretty like insular. And Frank seems like somebody who, first of all, is bad at lying. So he's probably had to be openly who he is, and probably like he knows about pairing rabbit with this wine. And
as someone who I thought that was hilarious because that is the shit that I do.
and so he's very open about who he is and wants to, first of all, like when they get into that argument about him wanting to paint and redo some of the streets
so they can have friends.
And right. He's trying to recreate society, and he's trying to have what they had before. And you go from like Bill, who's just about himself pretty much and wasn't really living for anything. He was just surviving. Who is basically like, you can see Tess and Frank are kind of like, you know, a pair of the same, and Bill and Joel are the same. And to have that note left with like this life that they've lived together, and to see that Bill's left this note of, you know, he's changed all this about himself, and that he is saying like protect Tess, which at this point is now Ellie. Basically, we can just see that this is Joel wanting to have something to, besides Tess also, you know, wanting to encourage to like protect Ellie, that there's something more for Joel to live than just to survive now. Because that, I mean, that's what I'd gather is what this episode is about, that it's about trying to live for something more than just surviving, because surviving is not enough. And then you have this bonding experience, and then you have the Linda Ronstadt callback, and there's lots of wonderful callbacks about like the first like dinner they have together is the last, and it's just really well done. And I think it really just says what this show is about, which is, you know, living, trying to live, and that there are things that are more important than just surviving.
Sure, I'll definitely give you that. I
mean, sure, he just gets a truck, but it's trying to tell us more than that.
The theme there in the episode is that
theme. Like, I agree with you.
Yeah,
but it does push the story forward.
But I agree. I think Joel, he can realize in that letter that like this man who didn't even want like, you know, us there at his like first lunch, had a gun pointed at me the entire time, like was living for something like other than himself, and like even died because that purpose was no longer there. Like, I think that is like a super impactful message that I think Bill is inadvertently like, you know, sending to Joel or like leaving Joel. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's a good point. I like it. Yeah.
Just because they didn't get further physically anywhere.
Sure.
I think this is more of like an emotional sort of journey. Yeah. Of making like, because that's what ultimately I feel like this show is more about. It's like the emotional side of
Yeah, I mean, and I will say, like, as great as the emotional journey of that episode was, I was hoping we were gonna get to see like Joel and Bill meet in like current day, because that is what happens in the game, and they change that quite a bit.
But that is the biggest change. He's neither of them are alive,
right? And yeah, I mean, in the game, we talked about this a little bit before the podcast, but they even changed like Bill and Frank's love. Like basically, you can find a letter in the Last of Us game that shows that, you know, like Frank was just completely sick of like Bill's shit and was like, I'm glad that I got to like be away from you for at least one day. And
Jesus Christ.
and so basically like I'm glad they wrote it into a much like lovelier romance story.
I thought it was going to be that same way after the second scene when it shows him like abruptly leaving, because it was the scene you're talking about earlier when he wanted to paint the nearby town, where it was like, is this the beginning of the falling out?
Right.
I'm like,
yeah, where he like storms out of his place. Yeah.
I was like, that was really good.
Right.
Really good screenplay in that.
I agree. Yeah. That does make you think. Huh?
I also think that there is somewhere down the line a movie that, I'm not saying like Bill and Frank, I'm just saying like the idea of the what do I want to say? The set or the world, the backdrop. The backdrop is some sort of apocalypse, some sort of like civilization decay.
But it's not like the main reason for the movie.
Sure, it's just the backdrop, and it's similar to this episode where the refinding what it is to like be in a relationship and.
Or what refinding what life is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think I think it's been done a little bit, like I Am Legend kind of tries to do that a little bit.
It does a little bit.
But I think the way that this is done, where there are action beats, like when those people like start to raid Bill's place, that you could have. But I just think the idea of this was like so impactful and beautiful. And I mean, honestly, just give them like supporting actor or guest actor Emmy noms now, because I mean I was trying to hide my tears so many times.
I cried a few times.
I know I was getting like choked up a few times. It was really good.
From watching, I was surprised I wasn't getting Doom Patrol tears, but I definitely was. Let's say there was relation, obviously, with the relationship. And that was portrayed, and I thought it was very well done.
Yeah,
it was because society paints like relationships as like, oh, man woman or man and man or girl and girl, and then there's a dominant and then there's a submissive, and then there's so many different types of people and so many different pieces for a puzzle,
right?
But like, and I think it showed that well. In this sense, too, it's just the part that got me, though, was when he first had the strawberry, because that to me signified like Frank is the reason he was able to even live like an experience. And I was like, fuck. I was like, that there. It wasn't the end because I'm like, I kind of see this coming. Like, you are. Yeah. But I didn't. But then I was like, when they both took it, I was like,
yeah.
As
soon as he starts drinking down that whole wine glass, I was like, he did it too. Yeah, and I think Nick Offerman, this is not something that hasn't been seen before in little ways, but this is by far, I think, his one of his best performances that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, and crazy that, you know, he's been on like multiple like running shows, and like this one-off is probably like one of the things he's going to be looked at the most for.
Yeah, I mean, and I love, as sad as it is that they cut to the dead bodies that Fedra kills, but he's just like, not today, you jackbooted New World Order fucks, and just like goes and has like all this planned out, and just like,
that was a really great transition too, though. You know, like switching from the dead bodies to like who they were and like in the the start of it, and then panning to him was
And also I didn't realize it until probably maybe today or maybe a little bit of yesterday, but even Ellie is like, dude, you got to be in the sky.
Yeah.
And then this whole episode's like what they are trying to get back to.
Yeah.
And like Ellie's like never been in a car, even though in the game she can drive a car.
I did find that interesting. I was like, well, I mean, there's Fedra vehicles. Like, it's not like cars don't exist,
Sure, but I'm assuming like they probably don't want you a teenage girl like just driving around. And also like Frank came up with the code signals for the radio. Like that was cool.
That was cool. Yeah.
For some reason, Ellie's being a total freak and cutting open a clicker.
Yeah, Ellie's just curious. Yeah, she just wants to fiddle with things. Like dead bodies.
But we were like watching the episode, and Ian and Ryan were like, "You freak!"
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really well done. I thought the whole episode was
just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and the viewership keeps going up.
Yeah, I think it's they're like third or fourth most watched show right now, like of all time.
It might be.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, but
I'm saying like live viewership, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't think we had much else we wanted to discuss today.
Yeah, I mean, they usually will do like stuff that we watched.
But we are running a little long.
Yeah, we are running a little long. I will say that I saw Tar, which is the Cate Blanchett movie that she's nominated for, and that was really good. Nice. I won't go into like detail, but I saw that. That was really well done.
I'll throw something in. If you haven't watched The Bear, watch The Bear.
Oh yeah, I do want to watch that.
No, watch The Bear.
Okay.
No, I will turn it on right after this game.
Okay.
That is one. It's confirmed season 2. I want to say it's coming out sometime early summer. Watch it.
Nice.
Watch it. Oh my. Christopher Storen might be one of my favorite writers right now. Man, it's amazing. Because I've been watching Shameless too. Oh my God.
Yeah. Pretty good, huh?
But The Bear. If you guys are not hip to that and just overlooked it, because I didn't know about it. It's an FX special. It came out. It came out last year, like middle of summer.
Right.
No one talked about it. That's where the meme of the guy cooking, like the guy cooking with the apron on. That's where it's from.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what
that's where I was like,
now.
That's a show. Looked it up.
It's a special. Yeah.
It's 8 episodes.
Oh, nice. Okay. So it's like
a dramedy.
You said it's a season 2 is confirmed, right?
Yeah, it's a dramedy.
Yeah, and it's really cool because on FX, like they had Pistol, which was shot in all like 70 millimeter film, and The Bear is also similarly shot. It's very film-like.
No, I will say it pushes,
and that might be a different aspect ratio as well. It might not be completely widescreen.
There are moments where you feel smothered, like you're in someone's face, but that's on purpose because it's like it's like you're smothered in a kitchen.
Right.
Like, because it's based off the drama of owning a kitchen in Chicago.
That's great. Yeah. Little things like that I love.
It's so good, bro.
Nice. Yeah, well, we'll definitely watch it.
Yeah. And lastly, just to close things out before we end the show, each week I do like 5 songs that I recommend. I'm going to go through them really quickly. They'll be in our link tree on our IG, or they'll be in the link of our YouTube. So I forgot about this band called Peace, and they have this song called Flash, which I was trying to find songs for our TikTok. It's actually really good. And then there's I'm Not Here to Make Friends by Sam Smith, which I'm surprised I liked because I usually don't like Sam Smith that much.
I thought you used to really like him.
No,
you?
I did.
He did.
I did, but then it just it wasn't my jam. But then this is like really like funky and disco-ish, so that's why I like it.
Nice.
And then there's Oh Laura by S.G. Lewis, 210s with Anderson .Paak and Corday.
Oh yeah.
And then Selfish by Slow Tie, which is Slow Tie, who's UK rapper, but now he's been doing more post-punk stuff, so that's really sick.
Nice.
So
all these rappers are deciding to go into rock.
Oh yeah, with Lil Yachty, and Logic.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying it's
and Machine Gun Kelly. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not.
Though I mean, a lot of those are bad versions of that.
Yeah.
This is a good version.
Yeah, I haven't listened to Slow Tie, but I was shocked with Lil Yachty.
There was one song I didn't love it, but it wasn't bad.
Like
No, I didn't dislike
I'm
it at
not
all.
big into psych, so it's not really my jam. I'm not going to turn it on, but for what it is, solid. Like he stepped out of the box, I would say.
Yeah,
and made a solid out.
Yeah, there's really, I mean, from just the one song I heard, I mean, it's not for me, but it's well done.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
But
Right.
Now, I literally every single person I've talked to in person about that has said that, which is kind of funny. But I have seen a lot of people online liking the album. So
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, you're good.
You go ahead. You always do it. I don't
fight over the mic.
it.
Fight.
Well, we wanted to thank you all for watching this very long special episode of the Last Week This Week podcast. You can follow us on our social medias on Instagram, TikTok. I guess YouTube is a social media in a way.
Yeah.
We're also on Apple Podcasts now.
Finally.
We're and we're on Spotify and Podbean. So check us out there if you want to listen to other podcasts in the future.
I think we'd both like to thank West for
Absolutely
for getting on.
You guys for having just a friend come on and nerd about stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully, when Quantum Mania comes out, we could maybe do this again.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to talk about that.
That is soon too, right?
It's February, yeah. I mean this month. So
yeah. But where can people find you or your podcast?
So you can find the podcast, which is mainly my social and my whole content grind at the High Rollers DMV on Instagram. You can also follow us or find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, where the YouTube is my YouTube channel at West Tower, where I have vlogs. I have vlogs, and I also have the podcast. And thinking about putting it's a bunch of coast related stuff. So if you ain't about that, don't worry. But if you into it, there's a hobby and niche for you.
Absolutely.
Love to see you there.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching again.
Yep. All right. Until next time.